Hey, in the immortal words of Judy Brown, happiness is a choice. We're happy you're spending some time with us, Chip and Zay, on a wild and woolly Tuesday. Tuesday of Red River Shootout week. Texas fans don't know whether to be excited or terrified. And that is discouraging, but I would always say that anytime you have the Red River Shootout, it's a good thing. Zay, how's your Red River Shootout week going?
Pretty good, because my fat ass is already looking at the new food at the state fair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I had to, man, because this could be a very depressing Red River.
Oh.
So sometimes you gotta eat your sorrows, man. And ain't nothing wrong with eating your sorrows with a cornbread donut. One of the news of the state fair. But excuse me. My apologies. Feeling good, feeling great. Chip, how are you?
Well, I'm very intrigued to get your report on the new food items at the State Fair of Texas.
Yeah, man. One thing about this game, it's so unique in so many ways. And we'll be there. Texas Sports Unfiltered. We'll be in the building. Friday, we'll be at Hardwood Tavern, downtown Dallas. Saturday, we'll be on the fairgrounds, live in the state fair. Chip will be there, myself, Matt, E. Henry, BK, Bucky. So, yeah, we will be representing. Appreciate Syntex Tickets, Austin Duck Adventures, Hayes City Store, Port O'Connor Premier Lodge, and 7-Eleven from helping us out get down there and feel very comfortable. But yeah, man, like it's more than just a Fletcher's corn dog. You know what I'm saying? Like your boy loves himself a good Kool-Aid pickle. That's always unique. Yeah, man. Don't sleep on it. The deep fried collard greens, always a hitter. The state fair, my wife likes the pickle pizza, which is just like cheese bread with pizza on top. With pickles on top, excuse me. It's not my fave, but yeah, y'all's favorite at the state fair. And yeah, the new stuff looks pretty good, but it's the OG stuff that a lot of people have been getting forever since they've been going to the state fair as kids. It's hard to go wrong with the nostalgic classics,
Oh yeah. The corny dogs, the turkey legs. That was the hot topic with the Texas football players. Are you a corn dog or turkey leg guy?
Nah, they don't need to be talking about food. Not this year, Chip. No. I don't like that. No.
Name the reporters who were asking them.
Nah.
I wasn't asking. I wasn't asking about food. I was asking about that offensive line.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I get it. You got to ask them that, but they don't have to answer. Like, nah, we ain't even thinking about food right now. That's what everyone's answer should have been. Hero Canoe, I give him a pass because, he ain't from the States. So a lot of this is still new to him. He's the only one. If you're from the States on this team, I bet not hear about food. Turkey leg, corn dogs, those fried Reese's and all that stuff, fried Oreos. I ain't trying to hear that. They don't deserve to talk about food right now. Of what they put on that performance we saw on Saturday. Absolutely not. This offensive line, I bet not hear nothing about food with them at all.
Unless it's like, human growth hormone or something, someone's gonna put the fire in the belly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because R. Mason Thomas,
I don't know, something.
Yeah, R. Mason Thomas, he's trying to make you food. Trevor Gooseby, Brandon Baker, Tyler Wine, he's trying to make you a turkey leg. Yeah, Taylor Wine.
James Jackson, the bowling ball in the middle of that defensive line.
Yeah.
That dude is he reminds me of Puna Ford. Like, he's so low to the ground, you can't move him. That guy just, you talk about oak trees for legs and butt. That dude's got some calves, hams, and ass
Yeah.
in a pint-sized, powerful package. I was rewatching that OU Auburn game. That dude, he's going to make life miserable for the interior of the Texas line.
Not good.
This needs to be a really big week for the Texas coaching staff. Kyle Flood. Here's what I don't get, Zay, and we'll talk to Dan Neal, former All-American in Texas, two-time Super Bowl winner on the offensive line, at 3:00. Here's what I don't get. I don't get the rotations on the offensive line. I mean, I don't get it. You spend all spring, summer, training camp with Neto, at left guard. And then at the last minute, you switch to Connor Stroh. And then you hear Steve Sarkisian say he'd like to see more of Nate Kibble. We haven't seen Nate Kibble.
No.
Like, what the heck's going on? I asked Sark, and all Sark said was, we got to play better. We got to coach better. We got to play better. Okay. But you're going to options that don't make a whole lot of sense right now. So in some ways, it looks like they're playing the younger guys as if it's like, we got to get them ready for next year. Well, what about this year? And what about these guys who've been in the program? It doesn't make a lot of sense, because I've asked, is Neto hurt? No, he's not hurt. I'm like,
he's just that bad?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think he is that bad. Like, maybe he struggled a little bit in practice the week of the Ohio State game.
Did he talk about Kyle Flood's mama? Did he? Was it like, I don't know. Something had to happen. Like, that's why it's crazy. Like, you just said you don't understand what's up with these rotations. I forgot about Andre Kojo, and how now, looking at how bad the offensive line is, that might be a bigger loss than you thought.
Right.
Because who knows? Because he would have definitely played, in my opinion. Now, I don't know about him and Brandon Baker's snaps, how that would have been if Cujo were healthy. But yeah, this offensive line needs some serious help in so many different ways. And yeah, it just, Rich said yesterday you'd be upset if you didn't see that move. Cole Hudson to left guard, Connor Robinson the center. You're not the only one that feels that way. Like, I'm right there with you. Like, they got to make some changes. And Kyle Flood right now, it's just Arch. I don't know how Arch made it out of that game against Florida. I don't know how he got up as many times as he did. Brent Venables had his presser today, and he saluted Arch's toughness, because he watched that film. Like, Arch was getting hit. Arch looked like the Friday Night Lights quarterback playing against Dallas Carter. Remember, he was all bloody and stuff like that. Like, it was one of those games where it's just like, man, if you don't have respect for 16 at this point, something's wrong with you. Because, them throws weren't all on the money. Sometimes he took the sack and held on to the ball too long. But with the way that offensive line performed for him, and he was able to still make some big-time plays, that's promising for his confidence. And it might be worse on Saturday. I hope he has his shoulder pads tight. I hope he has the ab pads, the extra padding for that. Like, because he going to need it with these boys. They calling themselves the dog pound, Chip. That defensive line. They asked Brent Venables about that today. He said, well, if they were playing like pansies, we would have let them call themselves that. But that defensive line for Oklahoma, they act like dogs, man. They act like dudes that you don't want to see in the dark alley at 3:30 in the morning, like Mark Sanchez. They're problems, and you better respect them, because I don't know if they respected Florida's defensive line, and they got smacked around a lot of bit. You better respect OU's defensive line.
Well, Arch was pressured on 59, almost 60% of his dropbacks. And that is awful.
It's tough.
It's awful. He was under pressure on 61.9% of his dropbacks. And that is brutal. He was hit 14 times? I thought it was more than that.
It felt like more than that. It felt like one of them shots. Oh, big number 5 who could fly for Florida. The dude with the dreads, I don't know his name. That dude could fly. Sideline to sideline. He's got some wheels, and he'll deliver the wood on you. He hit Arch one time, and I think it was a completion. And how Arch got up from that one. Like, he came off a blitz from that linebacker position. Of course, the offensive line, just miscommunication. 2 guys on one dude. They let him come in naked and just clobber Arch Manning.
Miles Graham.
That dude could play.
Yeah.
That dude could play.
Yeah. That dude was not messing around. Yeah, it's looking like, you know, they're going to have to, like I said, the players are going to have to decide to go out there and get it done. I mean, Michael Taft said, I can't wait to see what they're saying about us after we go 1-0 this week. I mean,
all right.
Okay. You want confidence. And
get into that victory, Mookie.
You sure want confidence coming from the defense.
Yeah.
Because the defense is going to have a huge stay in what happens in this game for Texas. Here's the thing. As good as Jack Bomeister has been for Texas, OU's punter is averaging 49 yards per punt.
Yeah, that dude's got a boot.
He wasn't even the starter.
Now, Hugh Freeze's team is stupid because one of those boots was like on the 3-yard line, and the idiot punt return and caught it for some reason.
Instead of Willie Mays catch too, over his shoulder. Like, what are you doing?
He's a good punter, but come on, let that thing go into the end zone. Yeah, Hugh Freeze's team. But, Texas ain't that smart either. So, I mean, Jack Bomeister, he was putting it in situations where guys just catch the ball and you give Florida a horrible field position. Ryan Niblett falling in the end zone. They playing hot potato with the ball. They can't grab it. It slips through guys' fingers, go in the end zone. It's like, Lord, man.
Lord.
Come on, fellas. Come on. Like, you can't be soft and dumb.
No.
That's hard.
Yeah, you cannot be soft and dumb.
That's mad harsh. I flinched. I saw you flinch like that. You can't be both. One's not good in itself. If you're both, you have no chance.
Yeah, that's not.
You have no chance. At least be, at least be tough and dumb. We'll take that, right?
I mean,
we'll take that. Be tough and dumb. If I get some toughness, but you give me 8 penalties, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? But nah, like you can't be both. Like,
can't be both.
Up for failure.
Yeah. So Grayson Miller, that dude is he's been money. He's averaging 49 yards per punt. And then their field goal kicker is 9 of 10 on field goals. So, and their return specialist, Mario Satania, is dangerous. So,
wait, there's 2 Satanias?
or whatever his name is. Isaiah Satania.
Yeah. When you look on ESPN, it says he's from Austin. I went back and looked. He played in Fayetteville for high school. So I don't know where part of Austin he was from. I don't know if he played like a freshman or sophomore year at some high school here and then transferred to Fayetteville, Arkansas for some reason. I feel him not claiming Fayetteville. Even though he played there, like, nah, I'm from the ATX. But I'm sure this is a personal game for him. And by the way, you remember months ago, y'all killed me. I think Hair of the Dog, it was you. My Hair of the Dog, you know I love you. You called me out when I told you that DJ Lagway would take that Texas game personal. And you were like, nah, Zay, he ain't going to take it personal, bro. He ain't. I was like, all right. And then, I forgot about it. But then I remember.
And he did it on one leg.
Yo, on one leg. You talk about hatred, talk about and motivation. One leg, he said, coach. He's like, DJ. Billy Neighbors like, DJ, you could barely walk, bro. He's like, nah, coach, it's personal. They chose 16 over there on the other side over me.
Oh, yeah.
DJ Lagway was doing Aaron Rodgers shit out there, y'all. There were some of these that side throw on that drag route where my man Jalen Gilbo was chasing the receiver. Lord, man, that's one of the nastiest side throws you're going to see. The pressure was in his face. One of the few times Texas got pressure on him, the dude it was like this. It was way out there. I wouldn't teach that to nobody if I was a quarterback's coach. And it was just a flick of the wrist on the money in stride. Yeah, personally.
Isaiah Satania is averaging 11.7 yards on punt returns. He has a 43-yarder. So he and Ryan Niblett are about the same. But, yeah, man.
I think Isaiah Satania is their best player. I think he's their overall best player. And if Kobe Black has another one of those performances against Isaiah Satania, then it might be exactly what we saw from Dallas Wilson. Just torch fest. Just big explosive play after another. He better contain him. And then Burks ain't no punk either.
Yeah. Well, now there's all this, just like we thought, all this rumblings that John Mateer will play for OU on Saturday. All right. I see our guy, Horns 24/7 MVP and managing editor, Hank South. Hankster, how you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Good, man.
We're trying to make sense of it all. Trying to make sense of this offensive line. Like what happened to Neto Umazolo and Nate Kibble? And they're doing open auditions at left guard, Hank, in the middle of the swamp. What the heck?
I know. My question is if you score a 0 in PFF in pass, I mean, every rep Nick Brooks took on Saturday was in pass protection. He scored a 0. Like, are you better off just not putting a left guard there? Like, is it like how I don't get how you score a 0. I was trying to make sense of it all. He allowed 8 pressures, a sack. So it was not a great start for Nick Brooks.
44 snaps. Like, why that many though, Hank?
Yeah,
that's a lot.
I'm confused about the decision to make on the road in the swamp your first go as a true freshman against that defensive front. Like maybe try him out against Sam Houston, get his feet wet. But against the Florida defensive line, which obviously we knew was one of their strength going in, even with some of the injuries they had, still a strength, and they showed that. And so, yeah, I mean, between, just not being able to hold up against them, the penalties, I mean, it was, I wrote in that after the game, it was just like this, casual people that don't watch the full game, just see the end, or they tuned in the last minute and saw Arch Manning, take a sack when they didn't have any timeouts, or not get rid of the ball or whatnot, they would, Arch Manning sucks. But this loss was on the offensive line, and I don't think it's particularly close. I don't think that's a very controversial statement to make. I think everyone saw that.
Yeah, I mean, it's I just don't get, you've got Neto Umazzolo at left guard all through the spring and summer into fall camp. I mean, the open practices we saw, he was the one at, first team left guard. And then out of nowhere, we hear the week of the Ohio State game that, it could be Connor Stroh. Sure enough, it is Connor Stroh. And now Neto's not getting a chance.
Right.
With this fire drill going on at left guard, or Nate Kibble. I mean, Sarkisian even said in a press conference he'd like to see more of Nate Kibble, who we haven't seen.
Yeah, it makes you just wonder, I think they like to reward guys that are doing well in practice. And I think that's, someone asked him directly after the game, like, why was Nick Brooks the guy? He said he had a great practice, and they thought he gave them the best opportunity, or the best, he was the best option in pass protection at left guard. And so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of confounding to, are those other guys, is it a situation where they're not practicing well? Is it like, are these guys in the doghouse? Like, are they just not, being good team players? Like, I don't know. It's really confusing. And, I even said before the game, like, we saw this a little bit, with I think we saw this against Sam Houston. I can't remember, but, if Connor Robertson can play center pretty effectively, why not kick Cole Hudson out to left guard, where he's traditionally been most of his career, the guard position?
I agree.
So I would imagine they're tinkering with it this week, because I don't think they can roll Nick Brooks back out there at left guard against, probably a better, I think Florida was really, really good. Oklahoma's obviously great too. I don't know which defensive front I'd say is better. Probably Oklahoma's. I think you got to give him some more time to get his feet under him.
Well, especially in this atmosphere. I mean, this is the craziest atmosphere. We're talking to Dan Neal at 3:00, and Dan, said there's no other atmosphere like this because the sound inside the stadium doesn't go down. Like, normally, if you're on the road and the other team makes a big play, crowd goes wild, everybody's ready for that. But whether you make a good play or a bad play, the sound doesn't go down. And if you're the team on the wrong end of it, that sound can, make a sack feel like a fumble.
Right.
It can make a fumble feel like a, scoop and score. It can just mess with you.
Yeah.
And I'm doing exactly what you said. I'm putting Cole Hudson at left guard. I'm putting Connor Robertson at center. They've played in this game.
Right.
So I'm going to take my chances with that and then go from there. If it's not working, then we'll try something else. But
yeah,
this game, ooh.
Yeah, I think you just really have to value experience at this point. And the offensive line has struggled throughout they held up fine against Ohio State. So we know it's in there, but again, you weren't playing Nick Brooks against Ohio State at left guard. That was Stroh and Neto rotating. But yeah, I think in this situation now, at this point where we saw, how much of an effect that can have at the game when the offensive line just really couldn't get anything going, I think maybe you try to fall back and lean on some experience and maybe try that. Because even Connor Robertson, I think he played the entire game against OU in 2023 when Jake Majors went down.
Ankle.
Yeah. So I think, I'm obviously not a Texas coach. I don't get paid that way, but I think that would be a decent move to maybe tinker with this week. You got to work on, and I think, and they lost, it sucks, but in terms of revving yourself up and being ready for this atmosphere, like you just described, I think playing in the swamp the week before, it was a super physical game. They got beat up, but in terms of kind of just your psyche and what you're ready for noise wise, I think that probably helps compared to Oklahoma playing Kent State, where, I'm not sure how live it gets in Norman. So maybe these guys will be a little bit more ready to handle the crowd noise, handle the atmosphere in terms of that kind of that pre-snap, penalty stuff and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, Hank, what's also very alarming about just the way this offense looks, starting with the offensive line, is that Steve Sarkisian and his coaching staff, they chose not to go in the portal for any offensive linemen because they trusted their development and how these guys, how they thought they were going to look like here in the 2025 season. And clearly that's not the case. What could they do like in the future? Because now I think you have to. Like, I think you absolutely have to go for someone in the transfer portal, but the guys that they got from the high school ranks, where has the disconnect been? Because these guys, they were highly touted too. So I'm sure all Texas fans trusted that they were just going to fall in line like Hayden Connor, Jake Majors, Stephen Banks, etc. And clearly that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't want to say like complacency, but I think, for so long, the offensive line just was never really, and you never want to say like OLDL or not a need, but it's like they had such great depth and they had those guys that were multi-year starters that came up together. You go from, you have Kelvin Banks, obviously. It's like you're not in a position where, like this was a clear need in the offseason where you thought you maybe had more than you did. And obviously, they went into the spring, they still had Malik Agbo. He left after spring. I'm not saying like, he would fix all this, but you have Andre Kojo. I guarantee you he's contributing in some way on this offensive line if he's still healthy at this point in the season. They lose a guy like John Mills, who was committed to Texas. He's now starting at Washington as a true freshman. I believe he's starting. I was just looking at his PFF stuff. He's doing really well for a true freshman at the University of Washington. So I don't know if it was just, not as much of an emphasis and just kind of getting not lazy or complacent, but, thinking other things are a little bit more of a priority when in reality, you probably should have stocked it a little bit more when you look kind of back at how much you were really losing from that line. Like, yeah, you had guys coming back that had playing experience. Obviously Gooseby was that was a positive situation for him to be able to get as much experience as he did last year. Cole Hudson, DJ Campbell, but you're still replacing, a lot of snaps with Connor Majors, Kelvin Banks. Like that's a lot to replace. You're going your third straight year replacing your right tackle. So yeah. And I, Texas did try to, they went after the USC offensive lineman, Emmanuel Pregnon. I believe they got him in on a visit. But that was really the only guy they showed interest in. I think, if you look back, I think, hindsight's 2020. I think they would have loved to get a guy like Caden Proctor when he was going between Bama and Iowa. I think that would have been a guy they really liked. I'm sure there were others that just never kind of came to fruition or, really went out, were public knowledge. But I think it's still kind of a situation where you have to take it on a year by year basis. You want to make sure you hit on, the positions of need you need in a conference like the SEC. But certainly like this year, you can finish. Regardless of how the season finishes, you can see the offensive line is going to be a need. In the portal, they only have 3 guys committed now. They missed on Felix Ojo. That looks like a bigger miss now going into the season. A guy like him to Texas Tech. They missed on Malachi Lee, who they would still love to flip. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to want to come play for Texas after seeing them struggle at his position. Maybe he will. Maybe that's more of an intrigue to come and help. But I think with the 3 guys they have, they're kind of developmental guys that, I don't think the guys they have committed are going to be able to come in and step in right away. Like John Turntime needs time in the strength program. The other 2 guys are, I think multi-year players we'll see down the line. So they're going to have to go out and get, some big names and be pretty, what's the word? Like pretty aggressive with it, I think, because it's going to happen quick, obviously, with the one portal window as well. So yeah, I think it's a year by year thing. You got to look at what you need after each season, but at the same time, you can't neglect, if you think you have depth at a position, you still have to, if there's a guy too good out there to pass up on, even if you have the depth, you probably still need to take a flyer on him if the opportunity is there and it makes sense from an NIL standpoint.
Yeah, like I'm sitting here looking at the PFF grades. Nate Kibble, he's only played 35 snaps, but he has an 80.3 pass block rating.
Yeah.
Where's that guy? I mean, I don't know what the hell, Kyle Flood, I can't follow the logic here. And when I can't follow the logic, that usually means something weird is going on behind the scenes. that is not adding up. And if it's not adding up to me, it's probably really not adding up to the guys in that room, because Hank, you and I both know the players always know who should be playing.
Yeah.
They know who's practicing well. They know who's, picking things up. And so, and again, we're digging into this, but if the players are like, if let's just say that Brooks is, they know, the players know he's a little green right now and probably shouldn't be out there. You risk alienating Jaden Chapman, Neto, Kibble, and these guys who've, toiled in the program for 2, 3, 4 years. So, and this is a dicey situation.
And then you say that, and then, you're kind of at risk where it's like, okay, this kid that comes in, has kind of a shaky offseason with his introduction to Austin, started out well in spring practice, was getting a lot of positive buzz, was second team left tackle. So, we knew the potential was there, but to then see him step in and struggle, they kept him in. And again, we're not going to, we'll see kind of how they follow up with this. Like, is Nick Brooks not going to play again, for a minute, or are they going to roll Nick Brooks back out there? I don't know. But yeah, like you said, you risk alienating guys, and then that portal window opens up in January. A guy like Nate Kibble, who you've been very high on since the recruiting cycle, that you think has a lot of potential, maybe he hears from Texas A&M they need an interior guy, and that's what you risk. And so then offensive line becomes even more of a need. So yeah, I truly do think they're going to be tinkering with this, and like you said, the players know, and really, with a quarterback like Arch Manning, a guy that can get to outside the pocket, the offensive line should look almost a lot better than maybe they are, just with the fact that he can make plays for himself if he needs to.
Yeah, they can roll the pocket.
Yeah, he can roll the pocket. He can get outside, and he was still wasn't able to even do that. He just didn't have, we're just breaking down really fast on him on Saturday.
Yeah. Hank, what are you seeing from these running backs? I see CB's asking why Jared Gibson didn't play, especially in a hometown game going back to Florida, being from Gainesville. But, obviously the offensive line's not giving this running back room any favors. Travion Wisner says that he's 100%, but after that touchdown that he had late in the game, it sure doesn't look like it. What do you want to see from this running back room headed into Red River?
Yeah, I was bummed to not see Jared Gibson play either, but I think it's just a case of them going completely one-dimensional. Like, they just abandoned the run almost. Like, there was a few of those series where, it was even kind of predictable. It's like they would start out with a run, no yards, then, Sark constantly talks about not getting in 3rd and long situations and being in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 6 manageable stuff. As the statistics say, that's a lot more, you have a lot more success, but they kept getting behind the sticks because they just could not get the running game going. When they did, and when Wisner would bounce it out, they get called back for a holding, and it was just a mess. So I think they just were screw this. Today we're going to have to throw the ball to win this game. Art's going to have to run a little bit here and there. And so that's probably why we didn't see more of a running back rotation. I think we saw a little bit of Christian Clark. But yeah, that was a bummer. I'll be curious to see how Wisner responds. Obviously Chip's report, we'll see the injury report tomorrow night and kind of have a full read. Like this time last week, nobody knew Malik Muhammad was injured, then he misses the game. That ends up being a massive loss with Dallas Wilson, coming onto the scene. But yeah, I still really high on Christian Clark. Jared Gibson obviously gives them juice, but they're gonna have to get something going with this group, because if they go one dimensional, it's going to put more stress on that offensive line to keep Arch upright. It's going to obviously going to become more predictable. Brent Venables is obviously a defensive coach. He's going to be able to eat that up if they kind of abandon the run like they did against Florida. So yeah, I think it's there, but it's hard to get the run game in a rhythm when you don't have your starting running back for the last 3 games going into Florida. You lose CJ Baxter against UTEP. So really, they've been kind of playing with this makeshift group of guys in different, different scenarios. They haven't been able to get a rhythm. And Sark touched on that. Once you have kind of a lead back like a Wisner was last year, they start to get in rhythm and kind of know the blocking tendencies of their guys, and they get in a rhythm and they can feed off of it and feel more comfortable with it. They just haven't had that yet. And so until, assuming Wisner, if he's able to play this week, can kind of get more comfortable, maybe we start to see some more plays where they're a little bit more explosive, longer run plays in that part of the game.
Yeah. And one of the, I hate to, say it, but Jarek Gibson, his blitz pickup is not great.
Yeah.
Hell, Quintravian Wisner and Christian Clark got ran over by Florida.
Yeah, they were picking up the blitz. That one play, Christian Clark, I mean, he picked up the blitz, but he slowed down the guy, but the guy got through him and got to Arch.
And that's credit to Florida. They were the more physical team.
Yeah,
that's a perfect example. Like, they weren't hesitating at all. They were running at the running back as hard as they could and just blasting, and they were knocking guys flat. And, and I hate to say it because James Simon, he only has 46 reps, 46 snaps, but he's been pretty good in blitz pickup. Like, he's physical. It's so weird because there are positions where they're going young, where I don't think they have any business going young. Like, I think Lance Jackson's going to be a stud, but he plays more than Ethan Burke, and Florida's gashing Texas with outside zone. Ethan Burke's an edge container. They're all trying to get to Lagway, so they were getting out of their lanes. It was a mess out there. But at running back, I am willing, it's like, let me see a little more James Simon, because I get it. There weren't many holes at all against Florida, but that guy's he's a tough guy, and he falls forward. He falls forward when he's got a tackler on him. He seems to get another 2 or 3 yards. I don't know, and it's weird. The offense it's just a mess, and everyone's looking for what's going on. You got new coaches. You got Chad Scott's the running backs coach. You got but the veteran coach, the offensive coordinator, Kyle Flood, we need to talk to him, because I can't follow the sequencing here.
Yeah.
So,
and I think outside of the offensive line, my biggest question is, like, they have just completely gone away from throwing the ball to Jack injuries. Like, I know they tried a couple times, but like, that is a massive weapon you have on offense. And, again, you can't blame Ryan Wingo's arm talent. He wasn't recruited to Texas to throw the football. But, oh my gosh, what a miss. Like, Jack Injury's wide open. And that was really, outside the other, I think he caught the one pass that he got clipped back and, like, looked like he almost had his season ended with the way he got hit. It's just like, it's, we saw him, he against San Jose State, he matched his season career high in touchdowns. And you're thinking, like, second game of the season, here's that Jack Injuries we knew. We saw a little bit at the end of the Ohio State game, him and Art starting to connect. But since then, and I know he was a little banged up, so I'm sure they're probably trying to be a little careful with him through the back half of the non-conference. But, I mean, that's an asset. I feel like they got to get more involved in this passing game. You can't just keep taking shots to Wingo, and Mosley, obviously, I think he provides a lot now with him back, but you get some of those quick passes, like, get him involved, and I think they can have some more success consistently moving the ball downfield.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, everyone else is getting the ball out quick in fear of Texas's pass rush, which is all over the place. They don't have the numbers. Opponents respect it. They're getting the ball out quick. Malachi Nelson, 2 point something seconds. DJ Lagway, 2 point something seconds. And Texas is running all these deep routes, or Arch is sticking with the deep route too long.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if with Emmett Mosley now, who's a better blocker, maybe they can run some of those wide receiver screens with either him or DeAndre Moore as the front guy in a stack to block for those wide receiver screens, because Quinn made a killing on that, and we're not seeing that much at all right now.
No, absolutely. I'll be curious to see I mean, he had that one play that ours just missed him. He was obviously under pressure, and I think you tweeted that, but they got hit in the face too. Not to say that
Yeah.
was an excuse,
Yeah.
but
well, in that play, you're talking about Mosley.
Yeah, the overthrow of Mosley down the seam.
That play gave me more heart about Mosley than his catches because he got such good separation. His route was so good that you're like, oh hell, this guy can get open. Like Arch needs to keep an eye on 3 because he gets better separation than Ryan Wingo right now. So that's a guy you can trust. If he's going to make his break, you can throw it, and it's, but it's
they've got the pieces. I mean, like, I think, if you're trying to look for any sort of silver linings coming out of Florida, there's not really many, but I think, say what you want about Arch, he is getting better. I think he gained a lot of confidence. As Stark even mentioned, you would hope he had his teammates trust a little bit more entering SEC play, but he said he's gained the team's respect more, I guess, more than he already had with his performance against. He was just getting rocked time and time again. He kept getting up. People are trying to tweet his high school highlights playing against like 5'10", like 180-pound defensive linemen. But like, I mean, a lot of guys would fold, with the beating he took on Saturday. So he was getting more like the pass to Wingo in the second half, the touchdown. I mean, there was some really nice throws he made. And so, gaining confidence is huge. Getting Mosley back is huge. Hopefully, assuming Wisner's okay to go, we'll see. I think they can. Just gotta figure out that offensive line a little bit. And maybe you don't even have to really figure it out. Just like maybe do some different plays that take pressure off the offensive line to get outside the pocket, like you said, roll the pocket. So I think they can still have some success, I think, here.
Yeah. Hank, this defense didn't expect 27 to get put up on them. I'm not going to give them the safety because that's on Jeff Banks and the freaking special teams. But the defense, they really struggled. Jaden Ball, he got all those tough yards that he needed to. And DJ Lagway, with as bad of a season that he's had in the first 4 games, looked like the 5-star coming out of Willis, Texas, that we thought he could be, that we thought he was going to be in this game during the preseason. But was still very shocking to see this Texas defense get lit up. What are you expecting to see from this Texas defense, Hank, whether it's Michael Hawkins Jr. or John Mateer?
Yeah. I know it's super, super cliche, but obviously, with the Red River shootout, you kind of just throw everything out the window almost in terms of like what they've done so far that season, because guys are going to get up for that game. A lot of these guys are from the area. They know all these, they know each other through 7-on-7 or just going on visits together, going to the same high school. So there's a lot of, interchange there. But that's the one thing, like with Texas, it was like, this defense is going to give this offense time to figure things out. And that was the case up until Florida, where they kind of just got punched in the mouth. They were not the more physical team. And to their credit, they made some adjustments in the second half. They stopped the bleeding a little bit, but still, I don't know if they were just like, didn't realize what Dallas Wilson was going to give them as an offense, or, Jaden Ball hadn't had a lot of success. We knew how good he was last year. He was hyped coming into the season, didn't really play well so far. He had a big showing, coming into this game. But yeah, it was really weird to see them get out physical, at the line of scrimmage, and then just the tackling. Chip even wrote about last week, like they've been one of the better tackling teams in the country, and like just wasn't happening. And it looked like it was going to start out really well with the first play of the game with Littleton forcing the fumble, and then after that, like they just caught a break and were able to build a momentum all through the first half. So I think we're going to see, the pre-Florida Texas defense against Oklahoma. I think, Oklahoma's got a lot of, like, obviously they're healthier this year. I absolutely think Mateer is going to play. Like, I just think that's what John Mateer is going to play in this football game. I think everyone thinks that. I think, Sark said yesterday, we're going to plan for Mateer. Obviously they'll plan for Hawkins too, but I got to imagine John Mateer is going to play. But they have a lot of new pieces. They have a healthy wide receiving core. Last year they didn't have really anything at wide receiver when they played Texas. They brought in Jaden Ott, who I don't think has been exactly what they thought he would be, but obviously still a guy that can kind of hurt you, in the run game and in the passing game, really. But this will be kind of and not to say Michigan or Auburn weren't true tests, but I think this is going to kind of be their first, like, I think they can kind of have the opportunity to do what Florida did to Texas. Like, I think Texas can do that to OU. I still think, after the Florida game, I don't know if I'm going to pick Texas to win the game, but I think they're going to try to come back and kind of reestablish that defensive identity, that they've been able to build so far this season. So I think we're going to see a better version of Texas. I'm curious to see how they have big bodied receivers, so that's going to be a challenge. Deion Burks is really good. He's an NFL guy. So yeah, I mean, obviously going to be a good matchup, assuming Mateer is going to play. How active, how with him coming back from surgery, are they going to try to utilize him in red zone run game kind of things? Or are they just going to go full air raid and just let him throw the ball? Be curious to see. But I think we'll see a better version of Texas. I don't think it's going to be like a shootout or anything. I think it's going to be a game in the 20s. But yeah, I think we'll see a better version of the Texas defense.
Yeah. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild in the Cotton Bowl Saturday at 2:30. And yeah, Matt Zenitz, our guy from CBS 24/7, first reported that Mateer was likely going to play, and now others are reporting that as well. So yeah, I think we're going to see Mateer, and then let's see how much pressure this Texas defense can put on that OU offensive line, because they're not great up front.
They're not. Yeah, I think because last season I think they gave up. It was either the lead in the SEC or the nation. I don't know, and the number of sacks they gave up. And they brought a lot of those guys back. They brought in some portal guys, but again, they're and this isn't just the offensive line. Like, a lot of their positions are like guys they brought in from smaller level schools, hoping like the eval would kind of click and hit. And so far it has. Obviously they've been really good, but I think this is no offense to Michigan or Auburn, I think this is the first team they see that's going to really be able to like fully punch them in the mouth. Michigan's obviously a great defensive team, but I think Texas is a little bit of step ahead than the Wolverines, and get them getting away from home too is obviously they're going to have their half in the stadium, but like you said, I mean, still kind of an away atmosphere in a way. So yeah, I'll be curious to see, because for a minute last week against Florida, you thought Colin Simmons was like, I mean, watching it, not you, but like you thought Colin Simmons was just going to take over the game. He had those 3 straight, disruptive plays he made, and you're like, okay, Colin Simmons is starting to feel it, and that kind of went away. Yeah, and so you got to think these guys are excited, are going to get up for this one, and I would think we're going to see some more Ethan Burke. Then
I hope.
Week. Yeah, that was
13 snaps.
13 snaps, which was he hurt like that we didn't know, or like I don't know, like, or they just.
Well, I went back and looked. He's got a brace on his knee in that Florida game. So I don't know what's going on there, but he's a guy. He's an edge setter. He doesn't give up that outside zone like Lance Jackson was. Sometimes he was going inside when he needed to just stay right where he was, because the play went right out the gate. So, and Trey Moore did not have a great game at linebacker. He was sniffing around in the wrong holes, and I don't know. They gotta get their heads out, because they're the key. They're the key to this game. Yeah. I mean, look, OU's offense hasn't scored more than 24 points against their legit competition.
Yeah.
I mean, and not that Texas has been, much better. It feels like first team to 24 wins in this thing. So, we'll see. Hank, anything else?
Are the refs going to let them do the walk off the field sub play, or the cheating play?
Yeah, right. I mean,
that stuff
against Auburn, they run that, cheater play where they're, purposely distracting the Auburn DBs and, putting Satania out by the sideline when they know that's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and they got away with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not
it's not like their offense is just set the world on fire, and their running game is also completely dependent on the quarterback running, just like Texas right now. So,
And if they can get Malik Muhammad back too, I mean, that could have potentially negated that play to Dallas Wilson in the Florida game. Not saying it would have, but he would have certainly helped in that matchup. I think that going into that game, you're like, okay, maybe they're deep at corner. Kobe Black can hold his own, but Dallas Wilson's just a freak. I think that guy's really good. If Billy Napier gets fired and the portal opens up for Florida, if Dallas Wilson isn't your first call in trying to get a receiver, I'm not sure what you're doing. So
Varnell Brown too. That dude.
He's a stud also.
What was the story on his recruitment, Hank? Because Texas poured money into, Jamie French, Khalil Lockett, and Michael Terry, and Florida got Dallas Wilson.
Yeah. So Dallas Wilson was committed to Oregon. Can you imagine that? Like getting Dallas Wilson, DeCorian Moore, who was the other freak receiver they signed? I mean,
they had Evan Stewart for a minute, right?
Yeah. That's just wild to think about from an Oregon standpoint. But yeah, so he's committed to Oregon. I want to say he was going to sign with Oregon. He flipped to Florida in a weird way. It was a weird signing day thing. I can't remember exactly. All I know is last summer 2024, Texas was trying to get him in on a visit. I think they got him in for a day, I want to say, kind of like under the radar while he was committed to Oregon. But at that point, all the talk was DeCorian Moore still. It wasn't like Dallas Wilson was kind of an afterthought in terms of those the big wide receiver targets. In June of 2024, I think everyone was kind of operating under the assumption that they were going to get DeCorian Moore still. So it wasn't like as much of a need. Obviously, you see DeCorian Moore go to Oregon, and then I think they would have loved to still get Dallas Wilson, but then the focus kind of just went to making sure you're going to sign one of these guys in the state, Khalil Lockett. They got Dalen McCutcheon, who obviously they loved. He's been the guy that's contributed the most as true freshman. But yeah, I mean, if that guy ever becomes available, and again, who knows if Billy Napier is going to get fired, and like the Florida people want Lane Kiffin, it all has to make sense from the personnel and scheme standpoint. But I don't even know if Dallas Wilson would go in the portal if Billy Napier got fired. But I think that's a guy that's on your first phone call list if you're trying to get a receiver.
Oh man, yeah, he palmed Kobe Black into the turf.
Kobe Black was horrible on Saturday.
Yeah, he had a rough day. He had a rough day. Hank, great stuff, my friend. Let's do it again next week.
Appreciate it. Sounds good, guys.
Appreciate you, Hank.
Wow, MVP, managing editor, Horns 24/7. He does it all. Yeah, Zay, I mean, look, when you lose and you look bad like Texas did, everything gets cross-examined, every single thing. And I know for a fact, Texas has good recruiting connections in Florida, especially for offensive skill talent. One of their connections there helped them get Adonai Mitchell. And Texas invested in the three other receivers, and Michael Terry's an athlete, so it's going to take him a little longer to, get used to playing receiver. And look, it all could pay off down the road, but on that day, Dallas Wilson making his debut, 6'3", 213 pounds, looked like he was Ray Lewis out there.
He's doing it all.
Just, and kudos to Grayson Littleton, because it was Dallas Wilson that he hit to force the fumble.
Yeah.
And it was a great hit, and ball bounces away.
Yep. And then 12 plays later, 84 yards later, Jaden Ball's in the end zone. Mookie taps right there. Excuse me, Mookie.
Well,
by the way, that pass I was telling you about, Arch Manning, where he got hit by number 5, there's a picture of that going around social media. Yo, how the hell did he complete this pass?
Yeah. Is that the one to Parker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish we could see the throw that he made to Mosley because he gets hit in the face and there's no call. So you can't complain about officiating, but it was pretty obvious. And he was under pressure, so he misses the throw. But man, Mosley did a great job of getting separation on that play. I'm excited about him. I had a coach tell me today that guy's going to be your number one receiver in no time because he's polished as a route runner. He knows how to get separation. Quarterbacks love that. Quarterbacks love receivers who get separation at the top of the route because their ball doesn't get intercepted.
Yeah.
Usually.
No, I mean, like we were spoiled last year, Matthew Golden, like last 2 years, you have 2 first-round wide receivers. And Adonai Mitchell, you could argue if the whole diabetes thing rumor wasn't going around, he probably would have been first round too. So Quinn Ewers.
Every time they needed a big play, they went to Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah.
That 3rd and 12 at TCU where it's down to a 3-point game and they have to convert 25-yard fade ball to Adonai Mitchell ball game. And he was the most targeted.
Go ahead.
Most targeted receiver they had in the end zone that year. He had 18 end zone targets. I mean, I don't know who that guy is right now because I don't know. I'm not so.
There's times where guys are open and Arch does just miss them.
Right. I mean,
just does
on the deep ball to Wingo that he missed, Jack Endries is wide open underneath.
Yeah.
And he's got to come back in his progression because Sark, the read is from deep to shallow. Okay, if you're sitting there and you've hit the back foot of your drop and it's not obvious, then it's time to move to the, to the next receiver in your progression and take what's there. Marcel Reed had the same thing. He wanted that deep ball and he had a running. The linebackers dropped 15 yards. He had a running back just sitting there, at 5 yards who could have run for 15. Instead, he throws, hitches, just kept wishing that deep route, throws it, interception. And, you got to come off of it. The clock in your head says, okay, I'm moving on. And it's coming. Arch.
He got a lot better.
He got better. And I think he proved to himself, hey, I can get rung up and keep getting up and fight. So,
Now, he's got some heart, man. He's got some heart like that. That's the bloodline right there. You see the last name because you better have heart and play that position. I've seen Peyton and Eli get rocked in that pocket plenty of times, boy. Them fools played in the Ray Lewis era. You kidding me? Them fools were going up against Bill Belichick New England teams. All them crazy ass fools they had on those squads, Willis McGahee in them. Yeah, you got to stay in that pocket and sometimes take that hit to deliver that pass up the field. It is what it is. The best do it,
Yeah.
Soul Stream, you're right, bro. He ain't got much time, which is sad because Florida, until that game, they weren't pressuring no damn body. No one worse than Power 4 when it came to pressures.
Yeah, 3 sacks.
3 sacks.
4 games.
1 game.
Yep. We said you don't want to be the slump buster. You don't want to be the slump buster for that Florida offense. But you knew DJ Lagway could play, and it was probably a matter of time. He's from Willis, Texas. So personal.
And
you know what? The Dallas kids in this Texas OU game typically show up. Anthony Hill dominated this game a year ago. He had 3.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. He was incredible in this game. This is also the game where they had Leonga Lafau start alongside of him over David Benda, and it worked out.
Yeah, man. Biggest thing I remember from this game last year, Silas Bolden, baby. Who gonna be the Silas Bolden in this one? Who's got that type of heart? They screwed Silas Bolden last year. Silas Bolden was the third wide receiver on this team, or that team, excuse me. Screwed them over. Playing time.
Screwed him over.
And what are y'all doing? The dude that has heart, the dude that has speed. Every time he gets the ball, he makes a play. He does something good. This coaching staff's weird sometimes, man. They're a weird staff sometimes. I like them. I appreciate what they've done. They changed a lot when it comes to culture, but even then, they do some weird things. It does make me feel better that Ethan Burke was wearing a knee brace. It doesn't make me feel good that he has to wear a knee brace because possibly something wrong, but at least it makes sense now why he only got 13 snaps if something's wrong with that knee and they're just keeping it quiet. But yeah, I didn't expect Lance Jackson to be getting meaningful snaps like he is right now. That's good for
Lance Jackson. He's going to be a good player.
Yeah, he's
going to be a good player. He just got to.
He's a freshman,
right? Needs experience. Needs to know. My first responsibility is making sure that it's not a run, and when these guys are really locked in, they are just bull rushing the tackle on the way, stopping the run on the way to the passer, and that's where Ethan Burke has been so good. He's the most physical. Now, Colin Simmons did some things against Florida that were a big step forward. He engaged and then shed and was stopping the run on the way to the passer. That was a big step for him because teams test him. They run at him. And that's big because once he starts doing that on the regular, once he does it a few times, he gets confidence, then he's like, yeah, let's go. That's big. They need that.
4 pressures. He had that series where he had those 3 straight stops. Like, those are some big time plays, man. And we know it's in him. Just sometimes the expectations that you set on yourself, it's a lot. And, he got a lot of money this year, NIL and whatnot. So he had a lot of pressure coming into this 2025 season. Hasn't lived up to that. You kind of saw him back to his freshman self on Saturday. And if he could disrupt this game, hey, who knows? All you need is a couple of big-time game-changing plays, like whether that's explosive plays on the offensive side or a big-time turnover that could swing momentum. And this Texas defense, obviously this offense has a lot of work to do, but this Texas defense, they got backhand in the mouth against Florida. And if you're Pete Kwiatkowski, you're challenging everybody on that defensive side because if your goals are still the same, you got to win out. You can't be no 3-loss team in the college football playoff. Like, that ain't happening.
All right. I think Dan Neal, he's in his car, so we're not going to have video, but let's bring in Dan Neal, the All-American.
Hey, how y'all doing?
2-time Super Bowl winner. Good. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Well, listen, we had to get you on. It's Red River Shootout Week. You've played in this game. You've won this game. You've won 2 Super Bowls. But, Dan, we also had to get you on because the offensive line looked like just a fire drill last week. So let's start with your level of excitement for the Red River Shootout and maybe a favorite memory playing in that game.
Oh, it's always exciting. I've said it many times. I've been very blessed in my football life to play in some pretty cool games. AFC Championship, Super Bowl. Uh, the one game I'd want to play in again is the Texas OU. That is a special, special game, and there's nothing else like it. And, I kind of consider myself blessed to be able to have played in that thing 4 times. Um, my best memory. Well, that's the thing, Chip. I played in it 4 times, and I only won one of them.
But you won.
We won. I do say this though: I played in it 4 times. 3 of the 4, well, 2 of the 4 in regulation was tied, and the other one was decided on the last play of the game, the play that Stoney Clark made on the 1-inch line to seal the victory.
Woo.
That's the kind of game that is. It's just crazy game and a lot of fun. But that play by Stoney, and it wasn't just that play, that entire game. That just the play we talk about. It was probably my best memory. That was a lot of fun.
Okay, now let's get into that offensive line, Dan. You're what did you see in that Florida game?
They really, really struggled across the front. Especially the left guard position. They're down to the third starter at left guard, and I say starter. They've started 2 other guys, Stroh, and I forget his name. Uzembo. How do you pronounce? Yeah, they were the 2 guys competing at the beginning of the season. Ubeto started against Ohio State. Stroh came in. Stroh started the next week. Started the next 3 weeks. They benched Stroh, and they went with 71, who's a rookie, Brooks. And they're at the bottom of the barrel, man, because they're not getting any better as they're making these moves. Give Brooks a moment. He is a freshman, a true freshman, but it wasn't good against Florida. Colt Hudson didn't play his best football game by any measure. I think DJ Campbell's been the most consistent, solid guy we've had. 1 returning starter. And Goosby's done all right, but we're just not getting the play we need out of our tackle position. And certainly, we're not run blocking very well, and we look lost pass blocking. We're just getting torn up inside trying to pass pro guys.
Yeah, and here comes Oklahoma, who leads the nation in third down defense and sacks, and is second against or second in scoring defense and 5th in defense against the run.
Yeah, Chip, it's not something you think is a recipe to win. And you can't run or pass, and you're playing a defense that's one of the best in the country. It doesn't look good right now. It is OU. I know anything can happen. I get that, but I'm looking at this offense, and I'm asking a bunch of questions. First and foremost, those are your 5 best offensive linemen because that's why they're playing. That's what you got. You either got to figure out how to get them to play better, whatever. That's got to be better. You look at the rest of the offense, and I think, they had 14 yards rushing by the running back position, excluding Arch Manning. That ain't good. You're not running the ball. And then your passing game, I mean, besides Livingston, who out there catching the ball are you feeling really good about? Yeah. They can't throw or catch. And so really after running and catching and throwing on offense, I don't know what else you do. You're kind of limited.
That's not good, Dan.
No.
That's not good.
And going back to the left guard position, because I'm right there with you. Like, you start off with Neto and Stroh, and you hear in training camp that these 2 are battling for the spot. And then you give all the reps to Nick Brooks, who had 44 snaps and got absolutely demolished against Florida. Where's the disconnect there? Like, how can it go that far left? Because Neto is a 4-year guy. Connor Stroh is a 3-year guy. And then they throw a freshman out to the Wolves who came in as a tackle, not even as a guard.
Yeah, I don't worry too much tackle or guard. I was a tackle in high school. I don't worry about that. I do understand what you're saying. Because Stroh, Neto, I don't know if he played at all in this game. I don't
No.
remember. I know Stroh started, was out there most of the time, and then Brooks comes in. Um, it's because Neto and Stroh aren't getting it done. So you're like, we got nothing to lose. Let's go to Brooks. Well, he ain't getting it done either. So where are you
Yeah, I
going to go
mean,
now?
well, do you move Cole Hudson back to guard and play Connor Robertson, the redshirt junior out of Westlake, at center, who played in this game 2 years ago when Jake Majors went down? It wasn't, it was a tough day for him, but he's got experience in this. He's got experience in this game, Dan, and how important is experience in this game because of that crazy environment?
Experience does help. You can't. The only way you figure this game out is to go play in it or be a part of it. Until then, you can hear about it and talk about it all you want. You don't really understand it because there's nothing else like it. So it does help. What you just described to me is a reshuffling of your offensive line, and I am by no means against it, but that is a signal that you are in trouble because you just spent an entire off season and the first quarter of your season with this plan of running out this offensive line, and then you're, a quarter of the season saying, "Well, we were wrong. We got to go back and, reshuffle everybody." And you certainly could do what you just described, but then I'm kind of like, well, why did we not realize that earlier that we were going to have a problem at left guard? I think you should see that, honestly, as a coaching staff.
Yeah, that's very disconcerting.
It is to me. It is to me. And I'll tell you right now, I went to one practice and I walked out of that practice and I was questioning that position. So it wasn't like it's not hard to see. I don't know.
Right.
I can't tell you.
Right. That was in training camp.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're great. They allow us to come to practice once in a while. I do not go very often. Probably the first time I've been in 6-7 years, but I went and I was like, yeah, I'm worried at that spot. But, here we are. You got to your point about shuffling, I would not be against putting Connor at center and moving, Hudson over to left guard. And that may work. Hudson actually graded out, I think, all right. But I think Hudson's struggling as well. I just think up front we need help at a few spots, and it's not the NFL. You can't go find free agents now. This is what you got.
Yeah. Do you think it's more of a communication problem or a toughness problem?
I don't know what it is, but it ain't communication. It's not like they don't know where they're going. They're not blocking anybody when they get there.
Yeah, and they're not finishing blocks, Dan.
Look, this is kind of look, I'm biased on this, Chip, and I'm trying to be calm and nice here because I was probably as upset and agitated after a UT football game on Saturday than I've ever been in my life. I think partly it's because I've watched worse UT teams, but I knew they were worse. This one I thought was better, and to see that, I was like, okay, I'm really disappointed. And there's a lot of layers to all this. I think we have a philosophy by our staff that we want big guys, and you've heard Sark talk about it. We need big humans up front.
Yeah, large humans.
I'm all for large humans. If you're 6'6" and you're 320 and you can play football, God bless you. Like Jonathan Ogden. You ever watch that guy play? He was like 6'8", 320.
6'9".
He could move. He was unbelievable. There's not a whole lot of Jonathan Ogdens running around this earth. You're not finding a ton of large humans that can play. You can find large, fat, slow, sloppy guys, but finding large athletes that can play football, that's a little more challenging. And I think you get so enamored with size, you lose sight of, I want football players. And I'm having this conversation with a friend last night. I'm like, look at that guy at Arizona State last year that nobody wanted, plays with a chip on his shoulder. You knew when that draft was going on, Scadaboo was going to play for somebody and be a damn good football player for him. In fact, I was shocked that he wasn't drafted sooner. And what is he doing in New York? Kicking butt, taking games, playing his ass off, right? He's just a football player.
Yeah.
Anybody can see that. I would be more than big, large humans. I'd like 5 football players up front.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just me.
Dan, I'll never forget it. You said you loved football because it was legalized fighting for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, you can go hit people as hard as you want, and it's okay. In fact, it's encouraged. Yeah, that's what turned me on to football. Yeah.
And my God, they need some more Dan Neals out there.
Well, I appreciate it. It's not that and that's part of it too, Chip. Like I said, there's a lot of layers to this. Let's take the offensive line out of the picture, and let's talk about that football team. When things weren't going well, that's when your leaders, your studs, your All-Americans step up and really elevate their level and demand it from everybody else. Did you see any of that Saturday?
Nah.
No.
No, neither did I. So then all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, who's leading this team? You know, and you talk about great teams, and I was on one of them where I had one of the greatest quarterbacks ever played the game, but no one did it longer, harder, faster, stronger than John. I mean, he demanded of himself and everybody. And you look to New England during their heyday. What was the constant? Tom Brady holding everybody accountable. Who's holding this team accountable inside the locker room? It's not the coach's job, it's the player's job. I think there's a void there. Someone needs to decide that they're going to want to salvage this season and play at a different level than they played on Saturday. As a player, they need to make sure that everybody else understands that's now that what the expectation needs to be.
Yeah. Well, Dan, I definitely think Arch showed some heart, especially with the beating that he took due to how bad the offensive line was. Your thoughts on Arch Manning this year, from the Florida game to the previous games before, and now headed into Red River?
I agree with you. He hung in there and he kept trying to make plays. I just don't think he is making any plays right now. I mean, you know, you have an open receiver. I forget who it was, but it was touchdown all over, and he overthrows, and that's happened a few times this year. It's a fine line. I'm not being there. I think Arch is a good player. I think he could be there. I don't think he's a good player right now today, and it's partly because he doesn't have the time. He's running. He's struggling to set his feet. He's struggling to make throws because he doesn't have a comfortable pocket. And this is the problem. It's so much of this game is between your ears. You start to erode someone's confidence, and they start to question, and they start to struggle. They could fall apart. I've seen it. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to play poorly and still go out there and find a way to get better and play better. And I haven't seen Arch. You know, there's plays here and there. It's there. It just hadn't been consistent enough, and it's not all his fault. Partly because he's just not getting a high level of play around him either.
Yeah. It's
and I'm going to cut you off, Chip. This is a question I've been asking people all week. And remember, this Florida team had won one football game before we played them. And I'm afraid that somehow that our team found that out, and they believed that was a win team. It was not. Anybody watched them on film knew that was a good football team. Let me ask you two guys this. Who on Texas's offense would you pick before any player on that Florida offense? Name me one guy. Maybe DJ Campbell. Besides DJ Campbell, on our offense, Texas offense, who's better than their offense?
Maybe Jack Endries at tight end.
Okay, I forgot there was a tight end in the football game. I'll give you that, Chip. Yeah, because someone else told me that today, and I was like, did he even catch the ball? You know, nothing on Jack. I think Jack is a good player, and I do agree. He's a good player. All right. After that,
yeah,
you know, and that's the issue I'm having. You hear about all this talent, all these great things going on, and then I'm like, wait a minute. Where is it? And it's not like, hey, there was a bad day. I mean, I've been seeing this all year. I think it just wasn't as pronounced because the last 3 teams we played were terrible. And we played Ohio State first game of the season, which that was probably as bad as Ohio State's going to be all year because they replaced a lot on their team.
Right.
So what are we? Are we that team? Because throw out the last 3 games, that's junk. Are we the Ohio State team or the Florida team? What do you think?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right now they're the Florida team. And
I'm worried.
the offensive line's getting worse. And
I don't know
that's
if you can get any worse. Maybe they're not.
yeah. Well, so Dan, let me ask you this. You were in that locker room, you walked that tunnel. Is this the kind of game that, because it's Texas OU, that it gets the attention of every player, and so you have a better chance of bouncing back? Or does this game expose you even more?
It may be both, but I will agree with your first statement. I think this is a perfect game to bounce back against, because one thing that I felt lacked Saturday was that intensity. That won't be an issue this Saturday. You know that you're going to get the best from them, and you're always going to get the best from Texas players' effort. So that's good. But I will say this: if you go out there and you do put forth that effort, and OU smacks you in the mouth, and you can't get anything going on offense, and your defense, could play well, but if your offense can't get anything going, it's hard to maintain that when deep down you're like, we're just not good on offense. And do you think it's going to change in a 60-minute game in the Cotton Bowl on Saturday?
Right.
I mean, if you're not good, you're not good. Maybe they are. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. But you're going to get effort out of the guys, and I believe in that. And we'll see if that's enough.
And Dan, talk about that atmosphere, the sound, because it's 50-50, the sound freaks out the players because the sound doesn't go down. So whether, you're making a good play or a bad play, the sound doesn't go down. But if you get on the wrong side of that sound, it can really drown you out.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably talk about it in the game when they do the kickoff or the opening coin flip. What end of the field you pick is so critical, because you want your end in the fourth quarter. And that's what these coaches are trying to set up. Because as you know, that stadium, it's down the 50. So you got the OU end zone, Texas end zone. You want to be going to the Texas end zone if you're Texas when the game's on the line, because that sound is deafening. It's loud, and it's only half the stadium, but it's loud. And that's the hardest part about it. I have never played a more emotionally exhausting football game than Texas OU, because no matter what's happening, half the stadium's happy. So most games, home or away, if you're away, if you can get on top, you shut up the crowd, and you just you're riding along. If you're at home, you get on top, they're behind you. It's giving tell to the opposing team, you got them behind you. Against OU, you can't control it. It's its own beast that you would just have to sort of manage. And it's really difficult to manage the emotions of that crowd going up and down for 4 quarters. It's exhausting.
Yeah. Dan, how do you see Texas winning this game?
That may be the toughest question I've had all week.
Oh.
Without being funny, like saying something like, hey, hopefully OU doesn't show up. But being realist, I think if you look at the team, this is me trying to be positive. And Chip knows me. I always try to find the positive in the game. There wasn't one positive thing Saturday. And that's why I'm so frustrated.
Yeah.
It was that bad. But if I were to look at the whole season and say, well, what has gone on this season that you feel like maybe you have a chance? If they can get some semblance of a run game going, being Arch and the backs, because look, Arch is your best rusher now. Use them. That gives you a chance on offense. In addition, I would love to see them do more of, kind of first read, throw the ball, 3-step drops, quick releases. Get rid of the ball, slant routes, drag to your tight end. Like that tight end that didn't catch anything last week, Andrews. Use that guy. He can catch, and it's usually a better matchup. That's why sometimes tight ends are so good. I would like to see some more of that type of offense. But then again, and I'm not negative on Sark at all. I love Sark. He runs his offense. That's what he does. What I just described, besides the running game, I don't see a ton of in that offense. So we'll see what they do Saturday, but I think that's what they're going to have to do to give them a chance. Is they can't get too cute. They just got to figure out what the lowest percentage of mistake plays, kind of.
Yeah. Well, and they got a touchdown out of a short field turnover situation from their defense against Florida on the fumble recovery by Anthony Hill. They need the defense to help them. They need the defense to force a turnover or two, and then the offense needs to. Oh, we lose you?
Well, and that's the thing, Chip. Yeah, they need to. Hello?
Uh-oh. You driving into a. Okay, there you are. We got you.
Hey, you got me? Okay, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing too, though, Chip. They need the defense to play better, no question. They were terrible Saturday, and they had been good. But I'm worried. Are they as good as we thought they were? Or is that Florida that's more of what that defense is, and they got exposed by that Florida coaching staff, and now the word's out on how to attack the defense. I'm worried, Chip. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Dan, what?
'Cause I'll tell you this. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, here's what I was worried about going into this Florida game. I went to the game last year, and I was sitting next to my lovely wife, who happens to be a Gator, which has been insufferable this week. But I told her last year at the
wasn't
game
she a
in
Florida
Austin,
dancer?
I'm like, man, a cheerleader.
Cheerleader, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go, Dan.
Yeah, Florida cheerleader. So, yeah. But I told her when we were at the game in Austin last year, I said, let me tell you what, I know we're killing them, but Florida is not that bad. There's open receivers all over the field. There's open plays. They just couldn't connect. So that coaching staff for Florida had the right plays drawn up. They weren't being executed because they had their 10th string quarterback in the game. And then we get to this week, and all of a sudden, again, it's like the defense wasn't even there. Now they had the players to execute. So that Florida staff knew something about our defense, and they put together 2 good game plans back-to-back years. 1 year, no players. This year, they had the players, and they exposed that defense. So I'm worried what they are.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, big win for your Broncos, beating the Eagles, Super Bowl champs. How you feeling about them?
Well, after Saturday, I needed it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, that actually was an exciting game. I mean, the Broncos looked good, and I think they're a legit team.
Yeah, they coached and played like their lives depended on it, and it paid off. We lose you? Dan, can you hear?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, listen, we'll let you go, man. Listen.
Yeah, I can hear you.
We appreciate the time. Thanks so much for
I enjoy it. I just wish it was better news.
Yeah. Well,
appreciate you, Dan.
I'll hit you up after the game, win or lose.
I'd love to. All right, guys. Have a great day.
Right. Thanks, Dan. There he is, Dan Neal. All-American at the University of Texas, 2-time Super Bowl winner with the Denver Broncos. It is not pretty, Zay.
Dan didn't make me feel good at all. Dan didn't make me feel good at all. Dan sounds like this is a 6-6 ball club.
Yeah.
Nervous. Doesn't see how it's going to get any better. What?
Yeah.
Dan said he didn't see nothing that they did well on Saturday. I saw a few things, but I didn't play the game. Dan played the game. Dan said he didn't see nothing that went well. So maybe you could flip that and be optimistic. Dan Lanning said he saw nothing that went well, yet they lost by 8.
Right.
So
Dan Neal.
Dan Neal. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's just that. Hopefully, there's something positive with that. But yeah, Dan didn't make it sound good
Well,
at all.
man,
Oh,
I mean,
man.
this one will get you right here.
Yeah,
I mean,
obvious in camp. Like,
yeah.
how though? And why wouldn't they make that move earlier? Because Dan's right. Like, why if it looked that bad, what made them say it's gonna get better? Like, are they just that arrogant with their coaching? Like, oh, we're that good of coaches, y'all. Y'all see what our salary is. We can make this look, we can make this work. Or was the defense just that good? They were just thinking, oh, we have the best defense in the nation. So, of course, they're going to struggle against this defense.
Well, Kyle Flood is the one who is like, we've got the players here. If he tells Sark we need to go into the portal for a player, Sark's going to go into the portal for a player. If Kyle Flood tells him we got guys, we don't need to go into the portal. And remember, Sark has sort of, been prideful about the fact that they haven't had to go into the portal for offensive linemen because they want guys that they groom in their culture and they grow together. And that's all been thrown out the window this year. You got program guys. We talked about it. Neto, 4-year guy. Connor Robertson can play guard. Where's Nate Kibble, who's got an 80 pass blocking rating from PFF? And Steve Sarkisian said he wanted to see more of him. And we haven't seen him. Where's Jaden Chapman? I mean, I don't get it. And when stuff doesn't add up, there's something else going on. So but this is all on Kyle Flood because you're the guy. You're the guy. I mean, Sark trusts you. He's been with you with the Falcons. He's been with you at Alabama. Now he's with you at Texas. And the momentum of the program is riding on this offensive line being able to open a hole in the running game and protect Arch Manning. Now, a lot of Arch's struggles in the first few games were in between his ears. He had time to throw. So that was on Arch. But then he looked better against a tomato can. And then, showed he was tough against Florida and ran and ran and ran. And in that way, Texas and Oklahoma are very similar. John Mateer is the OU running game. Arch Manning is the Texas running game. So who can complete a few more passes? But now OU's got the speed. OU's got Deion Burks and Isaiah Satania. And Texas has what they have. They have DeAndre Moore and now Emmett Mosley. And, I'm not sold on Ryan Wingo at all, but let's see. I mean, I don't think he's a number one, but, Sark is.
I mean, it's not okay maybe for this year, but for him, we got to bring in the number one.
Right. This was your guy,
Yeah.
This is a high dollar NIL guy.
Shit. Ohio State had 3 of them last year. Do you see
God.
Emeka Mbuka in the NFL?
You called that. You said he was going to be rookie of the year.
Oh, that dude's so cold.
He's running away with it.
That dude's so cold, man. Are you serious? Of course they won it last year. How were they struggling, to be honest? How'd they lose any games last year with that team? Oh, crazy ass Quinshon Judkins is running wild for Cleveland. Like, I think Ryan Wingo Because that catch that he had on that post, which Arch Manning, I don't know how he got that throw off because Sapp was right there. And that was one of the many Nick Brooks whiffs. But he got separation on that throw. It's just the consistency with Ryan Wingo, man. Like, he has to be consistent. And he has to get better. Like Chris Jackson, you got to earn your paycheck with him. Because like I said earlier, we've been spoiled, Texas fans, for Matthew Goldens and, Adonai Mitchells, Xavier Worthies, and then the tight ends, Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm had his best game as an NFL player this past week, getting them Tennessee Titans their first win, even though Jonathan Gannon's hitting his players and blowing leads and stuff. But still, like JT Sanders, like Jack injuries, got to get him involved more. Said that yesterday, and I was wrong to put it on Jack injuries. How can he be bad? They ain't giving him the ball. He ain't really getting opportunities. Right.
And when he was wide open, he got overthrown. So
yeah, he got overthrown. So I apologize, Jack. That's all me. I'm so used to seeing the tight ends involved. Been spoiled. I've seen that the last 3 years. Tight ends have gone crazy. Made a lot of money. So I expect the tight end to do that in Steve Sarkisian's offense. Haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. And the young tight ends are learning, growing. But Jordan Washington, man, we got to get him some blocking. Yeah.
He a penalty a game. He'll get you at least one. Jordan Washington, he going to get you a penalty a game. He going to get you a dropping game. Either or, a drop pass or a penalty in a game. You know what I'm saying? Got to improve that play. Your boy Spencer Shannon, can we get him on the field more? Why not?
Yeah.
Has he been just – I don't get these guys. Some guys play. Doesn't make sense that they're playing. Some guys aren't playing. Doesn't make sense that they aren't playing.
Yeah. I mean, the guys I really like, I really like James Simon. I mean, I think we need to see more of him. If Baxter and Wisner are not healthy, and I get it, that's a dicey move to put a true freshman ahead of all these guys. But you got to go with who's producing. And I get it.
Snap?
No, he didn't get a snap.
Wow.
So, it's weird because I wouldn't be playing young guys on the offensive line. I'd be taking a look at a young guy at running back. And that's all I got.
Yeah.
James Simon looks like he's not scared. And Jared Gibson, I love Jared Gibson, but he is their downhill runner, but he's not good in blitz pickup. And I don't know how much they trusted him in blitz pickup with an offensive line that can't block.
Yeah. And I don't know how much the blitz pickup is getting coached. Tashard Choice.
Oh, God, yeah.
He would lose his mind if you missed assignments on blitz pickups. Like, that would be a big point of emphasis for Tashard Choice in that running back room. I don't know if that is for Chad Scott right now. I can't say that it is. The way that my man Christian Clark and Contravian Wiseman were getting blown up, I don't know. Chad Scott, come on, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof. All right, let's get a couple mentions in here. We'll get to the commentary. Hey, for my guys who are snoring, let's make sure that you don't have sleep apnea. Here's the beautiful thing. We've got the best center for treating sleep apnea anywhere, and it's right in Austin. The Sleep Cycle Center, our man, Dr. Chad Denman. He's dedicated his life to treating sleep apnea because it killed his own father at the age of 60. And if you're snoring, it's more than just annoying to the person next to you. It could be the sign of a serious health issue. And because of our incredible partnership with Sleep Cycle Center and Texas Sports Unfiltered, you go to sleepcyclecenters.com and tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. They're going to take $100 off your sleep study. Practically give it away because they want to make sure that you are not you know, you're not in danger. Sleep apnea is a lack of oxygen while you sleep. And the Sleep Cycle Center has the best technology to detect any level of sleep apnea and the best treatment options, including oral appliances like I have, a mouth guard that holds my lower jaw open so that I get that oxygen while I'm sleeping, to surgery. But get the information. Take advantage of our incredible partnership. Go to sleepcyclecenters.com and tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. And when you're ready for the big screen of your dreams, audiovisual consultations, our man Tom McKay. You got things to do. Leave the heavy lifting to Tom and his crew. They'll bring everything to you, including the best price on big screens. They're going to bring you surround sound. They can do surveillance, electronic shades, new lighting. Just go to avconsultations.com or call 255-8678. And cover three is ready and waiting for you. We got Tigers, Mariners baseball today. Look, whether you like sports or not, cover three is about the food. It's about great food, high-end food without the high-end prices, including happy hour. Their $7 social hour menu with the firecracker shrimp, the bacon deviled eggs. So good. I love the bacon mac and cheese. And we had people chiming in yesterday talking about how much they love the brick chicken and mac and cheese. It's fantastic. All the food, the service, it's incredible. Cover three Anderson, and cover three Round Rock. Yeah. All right, Zay. Look, that was sobering. That was a sobering conversation with Dan Neal. I've known Dan. I covered Dan when he was a player in the early 90s. He played with Ricky Williams. He played with James Brown. He had the kick out block on Priest Holmes' touchdown to end the 1996 Big 12 championship in St. Louis, in a game where Texas was a 3-touchdown underdog and knocked off then number 3 Nebraska. Dan is also the exception to the rule. He's a 6'2", 260 guard who was a king of leverage. Like, no one could get under Dan. And Dan knew he was in trouble against Casey Hampton because he couldn't get under Casey Hampton. But, Dan is a savage, and he can't stand when he doesn't see big guys up front who are not savages. You heard Dan, it's like, I love football because it was legalized fighting for 3.5 hours. You get to hit someone for 3.5 hours as hard as you can, and it's encouraged. And that mindset right now is not happening. And I think it's because the offensive line is wondering what the hell is going on. Like, how did we spend all off season preparing, and now we're scrambling and changing? And it was interesting what Dan said. Like, can the coaches get over their ego if they come out, with Cole Hudson at guard or Connor Robertson at center, when all off season you worked with Cole Hudson at center? I think the sign of a great coach is fixing problems quickly. Coaches are problem solvers. The best coaches are the ones who solve problems quickly, in game, whatever it takes. Listen, your fan base does not care. They don't care. They don't care if you change your lineup, as long as you win, as long as you represent the school in a way that they can feel proud. Texas fans walked out of the swamp and turned off their TVs last week wondering what the hell's going on with this team. Like, they got punched and punched and punched and punched and punched, and finally there was some punching back, but it was after they'd been dominated for an entire half, down 19-7. And yeah, you got some injuries. But you've been recruiting at a high level. And the tough part about that game was you had some young studs who are going to be young. They're going to be stud players for you, like Cade Phillips getting beat, Kobe Black getting beat. These are guys who are next. You know, when Malik Muhammad moves on to the NFL, probably after this season, those are the guys. And it's we said coming into this season, Sark was going to earn every one of those $10 million because when you have this much talent on a roster, you have to manage it perfectly. Guys don't mind waiting if they see the guys ahead of them are getting it done and they can learn from them. They're willing to be patient. That was Nick Saban's, that was his superpower. He could stack talent, and that talent was willing to wait their turn because they knew once it was their turn, they were going to have a shot to go to the NFL because they were going to be coached by the best staff. They're going to play in the biggest games. They're going to get a chance to showcase their talent on the biggest stages, and they did for 17 years. And Steve Sarkisian has not made many wrong moves since the 5-7 season in 2021. The recruiting, there've not been many wrong moves. But this year, everybody's questioning everything. So, Sark, you better get a hold of this thing, and you better get one-on-one with some of these coaches and say, are we playing the best guys? I need you to tell me the truth. Who is it? Chad Scott, who's our best guy right now? Who do you trust? And if Wisner and Baxter are banged up, who's next? Who do you trust after that? Because it's on the line right now. And the locker room is on the line. Because, like I said, if you are playing players that the rest of the locker room doesn't believe in, they're going to check out. I don't know what's going on with Neto Umezzolo, but if he got in a snit with Kyle Flood the week of the Ohio State game, and then he doesn't start, and Connor Stroh's struggling, and is that fair to Connor Stroh? Is that fair to Neto? And Neto's been waiting his turn he's a senior.
Yeah.
He's been there 4 years waiting his turn.
Yeah,
everyone else
just run some stairs, get over it, put them in the game.
Right. And now, if that's messed up and the whole offensive line room is like on eggshells, that's not good. But something's wrong because I look out there, I see Nick Brooks at left guard in the middle of the Florida game.
Yeah.
And then he's struggling, and you're like, okay, get him out.
You're being nice. Struggling.
Don't wreck his confidence. Get him out.
He was a no-show.
Get him out. And look, a guy can get overwhelmed in that environment. It was electric. It was wild. You throw a true freshman out there. I mean, I get it. If he bites as a puppy, he'll bite, the rest of his life. But if he's overwhelmed and hasn't practiced a ton at guard, or, this is a communication operation. 5 guys working in tandem, knowing when to, help on this guy and then wait for that guy. And when are we combo blocking? And when am I going to the linebacker? And that stuff is precision. It takes timing and communication and the fact that it's just, it looks rushed. It looks impulsive. It looks unorganized. It looks like bad coaching. And I put this on Kyle Flood because Steve Sarkisian trusts him. And Sarkisian's going to pay for it. He's going to get all the blame. But I think Kyle Flood's letting Steve Sarkisian down because you can't be scrambling. 5 games into the season? I don't know.
Yeah. What'd you think of Sark's comments yesterday when he said all the other 100 and something, 30 something teams, y'all go play at the Shoe and go play at the Swamp and see how they do? Because Texas fans didn't like that.
I mean, it came off as snarky Sark, but he's right. I mean, South Florida's like, hey, we went to the Swamp and we got it done. But yeah, I mean, that was, and then
said it.
He's asked about the portal. Why didn't you regret not going to the portal? Well, you got to see who's there. Okay, well, some other programs have done a really good job of finding players who've come in and helped from the portal. This is the real, huh?
Fire up, Joe K.
No, I'm not.
Elvin Banks just went 8th in the draft, 9th in the draft. Fire up.
No, I mean, look, but here's the thing. If there's something going on, if maybe Kyle Vlett's having some personal stuff going on, I don't know, but you got to get it. You got to get on top of it. Steve Sarkisian's got to get on top of it. If Steve Sarkisian wants to see Nate Kibble, then he needs to see Nate Kibble. And now you're going into the OU game, and Nate Kibble hasn't been getting reps, but he's got an 80 pass block rating. Like, this stuff doesn't. Huh?
As a guard?
Yeah. He has 35 snaps, and he's got an 80.3 pass block rating. It's the 3rd highest on the team, behind DJ Campbell and Jordan Coleman, who's played 11 snaps. He's a freshman. He played against Sam Houston. That doesn't count. Nate Kibble, I think, got some snaps in let's see here. Yeah, he played against San Jose State. He got 10 snaps there, and he got 25 against Sam Houston. He's got an 80, 0.3 pass block rating. But yeah, if it doesn't make sense to the players, it's going to drain their confidence, and it's going to cause all kinds of shakiness. So this thing needs to be, they got to get on top of this, because this could be the reason, this offense never takes off. And we're coming up on the midpoint of the season, and you're asking Arch Manning to go, play hero. This OU defense has been waiting for this game for a year. They can't wait. And Brent Venables is going to.
He's on one. Yo, one of the players for OU said Venables was pissed after Kent State. Challenged the defense. Challenged the team. Chip, they won 44-0. 44-0. And Brent Venables came in that locker room and said, "What good enough?" Shit.
Yeah, and this is I've said, who does Steve Sarkisian listen to? And who has the stones? I know that Jeff Banks in the past has stepped up and said, hey, we screwed this up. But who's willing to say something in the moment? Everyone's like, well, he's got AJ Milweed down on the sideline. He's got Mike Biamonte up in the press box, or the booth. He trusts Mike Biamonte. It's not like Sark's flying blind. He's got guys who he trusts. But who's willing to say, hey, we got to get someone else in at left guard. This is not working. Like, Kyle, we got to change this. So it's that was a very illuminating conversation with Dan Neal, and one that makes it really hard to pick Texas Saturday, but let's get to the right call.
Let's get it. Before that, though, shout out to Covert BK, family owned and operated. Been doing it for 100 years and been doing it well. Trust me, I know. We got our Buick Encore GX from Covert BK. They are the best. You don't want to take my word for it. Listen to these fine folks at Covert BK.
I don't have to worry about shopping for mechanics to make sure it's done and done right. I come up here, I'm in, I'm out. They give me a loaner sometimes, and it's hassle-free.
If you have any questions, they'll go ahead and help you out and educate you. They're not just here just to sell you a vehicle. They're here to build a relationship.
They treat you like family, and then they make the experience what you want it to be, not what they want it to be.
Covert, born and raised in Austin,
where you are always treated like family.
Nobody beats a Covert deal. Not now, not ever. All right, Chip. So the Athletic, which got bought out by New York Times recently, they put out an article going after Arch Manning. The article reads, "Is Arch Manning college football's first flop?" Many people, or this is what the caption says on X, many people are having a bad year in college football, but Arch Manning is having one of the worst. The quarterback has gone from preseason Heisman Trophy favorite and projected #1 NFL draft pick to a man synonymous with failure. Yo, y'all wildin', Athletic. Synonymous with failure? Did they watch the Florida game? Because again, Arch wasn't perfect, but
Yeah, we watched the players around him.
Yeah, do we not see what's going on? Like, I think that was a wild thing to put out. Hey, I respect all journalists out there, but damn, Athletic.
I've never heard of this guy.
Yeah, is that Eric Gay? Is that his name?
No, it's Dan Goldfarb.
Okay.
Or Will Leach. I can't. They got a couple bylines on this thing.
It says Eric Gay at the bottom of.
That's the photo.
Oh, that's just a photo. Okay.
Yeah, he's a AP photographer, Eric Gay.
Okay.
And look, everybody's looking for tweets and clicks and but pronouncing a guy flop after what 6-7 starts. You need a break.
Like synonymous is crazy. Synonymous with failure is a wild thing to say. But hey,
think about what Dan Neal said. Is there anyone on Texas's offense who would start for Florida? Would you take every player on offense at Florida over what Texas has? And you probably would at every position other than maybe tight end. And that's not good for Arch Manning. I mean, like Quinn Ewers got to play with Kelvin Banks, Jake Majors, Hayden Connor for 3 years. And this is the offensive line Arch Manning gets. And you got coaches who are rotating players, like reaching into a grab bag with a blindfold on. Who's next in at left guard? Hey, Nick Brooks. We pulled 71. You're in. Sorry, Neto. Sorry, Nate Kibble. Sorry, Jaden Chapman. Sorry, you guys have been in the program for 2, 3, 4 years. We're going with Nick Brooks because we pulled his name out of the bag. Like, come on, man. Come on.
Also, it seems like the Bill Belichick Hulu Hard Knocks type series is coming to an end. Apparently, yeah, it's just no longer happening. So I'm sure it's kind of hard to have a docu-series when there's zero positivity in it because you're just losing games. And I guess Jordan Hudson, she couldn't do enough to make this watchable. Obviously, Bill wasn't going to give us enough, enough stuff to make it watchable. But I think that's weak, man. I need to see them down bad. Like, how does it look when things just go completely south? Like, I want to see that.
How much filming had Hulu done on this already?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the first 7 weeks, first 6 weeks of the season. Like,
unbelievable. Someone ate Hulu has to get reimbursed.
Yeah, I'm sure Disney's going to drop some horrible children's movie that'll get a lot of money, and they can pay it off then.
Yeah, I want to know how much North Carolina had to pay off Hulu. I'm sure there was a contract. I'm sure there was an agreement.
Yeah.
They're going to have to pay to get out of it.
MJ will sell a shoe. He'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go.
He'll be okay. Let's bring in Matt and Patrick.
What up, guys?
What's up, fellas?
What's happening?
Going on? Yeah,
Just
man.
another day in Texas Longhorns football paradise, you know?
Oh, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah, I saw the Hulu thing, and it does. I mean, imagine how many times they have had, like, in the first 2 weeks, people were like, oh, yeah, we'll schedule an interview for week 4. And, like, Lawrence Taylor's like, oh, no, I'll come up and do an interview with you. And then everyone stopped returning their phone calls. Like, I want to answer this. I'm not answering them phone calls anymore. I'm not doing an interview with y'all. Y'all are going to make us look bad.
Yeah. Yeah, CB says somebody put out a local North Carolina TV station, put out a report about behind the scenes, and it's ugly. That's what I want to see. If they want to get clicks and views, we want to see the ugly. I want to see Jordan Hudson cussing out Bill on the sideline, letting them know what's up, letting them know that this is unacceptable. She didn't sign up for this shit. You
just want to see a team meeting where Bill Belichick spends the first 3 hours saying why the Patriots are bad. They're like, don't we have a game this week? And he's like, y'all play football. Y'all know what you're doing. So also then I win a Super Bowl and they're like, no thanks to me. You're like, Bill, let's win some football games.
Well, apparently the transfers that Bill brought in are getting preferential treatment. They're getting extra tickets for family. They're getting this, that, and the other, but better parking spots than the players who were there under Mac. And it's the locker room's like,
that's
so.
And Mac Brown's partying with Vince Young and Bob Ballou here in Austin.
That's right, baby. Going into the Stampede. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow.
Appreciate
See you guys.
Welcome into Open Gym here. Oh, we're backwards again, man. Welcome into Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan of Texas Longhorns on SI, and of course, you, the third member of the Open Gym. Text line's open 512-222-9328, and of course, over there on the chat, Facebook, Twitch, X, and of course on YouTube. If you're over there on YouTube, make sure to give us a like and a subscribe. CB, it seems bad. It seems bad in North Carolina right now that like they're the Athletic as well. We're doing an overreactions Tuesday later in the show. So like 4:35, we've got an interview with Will Kane. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then at 5:00, we'll get into our overreactions Tuesday. And I'm not even putting in the Arch Manning should be benched. It is such a ridiculous argument to me right now. It is something that like it's beyond becoming ridiculous that the media had built him up, where if you listen to people like us and others, we're like, guys, let's get expectations where they need to be. This is his first time starting. There will be some rough patches. And in 5 games, they have decided that Arch Manning will be the worst football player of any position, maybe the worst athlete to ever have played a sport, any level, anywhere. And it's like, I get you're trying to get clicks and you can't do it anywhere else. And blaming the O-line and blaming the coaching is not going to get you as far as blaming Arch Manning. But it is absurd, the full-on vitriol of the media now to come after Arch Manning and just be like, what a horrible, like, and the thing that's getting me is a lot of the critiques are things that are not really the same critiques as they would have been the first couple weeks.
Oh gosh, I don't really know where to start with this. I'm going to be really honest. I don't want to disrespect anybody in the chat who may feel the same way. But here's what I think is happening, and this is how it was the same thing that I thought was happening with Quinn Ewers. A couple different things. Number one, I don't think people understand the quarterback position very well. And that includes a couple of people who I think played college quarterback and are making outrageous assumptions without like doing their film studies and completely ignoring other factors that are going into what is going on with this football team. But I think what's happening is national media people, Paul Feinbaum, whoever, doesn't matter, says these things about Arch Manning, or the people on the broadcast, like on Saturday, say these things about Arch Manning, like, oh, Arch is going to want that one back, while he's getting, hit from two different sides trying to make a pass and still completing it. They're putting out a narrative, and then people who are watching on TV or listening on the radio to these national people are running with that narrative, as opposed to actually sitting down and watching what's happening and understanding why these things are going on. Granted, that's extremely hard to do because Terry Freeman and Henry Rodriguez and Roy Tempura, just reading names in the chat, they don't have access to all 22 footage. They don't have access to some of the things that we have access to, or that other, more analytical people have access to. And that's fine. You're not supposed to. We do that for a living.
Yeah.
But what I would encourage people to do is just relax. Remember that he's 5 starts into his first season as a starter at the most high profile position in college sports, which apparently is the Texas quarterback, and let the kid develop. Like there's nothing that's going on around him that is aiding in his development. It might be hurting his development, especially the offensive line. So don't let people like Paul Feinbaum and Aaron Murray and all these other national pundits who really don't understand what's happening with this football team influence your view on Arch Manning, like you let them do with Quinn Ewers. And there was no reason for it to happen with Quinn Ewers, and there's no reason for it to be happening with Arch. Has he played amazing, perfect football? Absolutely not. He needs to get better at a lot of things, but a lot of quarterbacks need to get better at a lot of things. And there's this thing called development, and it takes time. And I would encourage everyone to just let the guy develop and get some things around him that are going to help him develop, like a competent offensive line, which is something they don't have right now.
No, and I mean, and I get Henry. It's like, what if Ty Simpson was our quarterback? Well, they'd run a very different system, so we'd have to see how Ty goes into that. And also, Ty Simpson sucked week 1. So let's start there. Ty Simpson was not a great quarterback week 1. Alabama sucked week 1. And now Ty Simpson's the front runner for Heisman, and Alabama is going to be national champions. Like, I get, it's college football. It's a weird world. And you have to kind of grow with it, because you could be like Oregon. And Oregon now is trying to get Dante Moore and get him to go and work in. But Oregon for years was just like transfer every year. Just get transfer in every year. And the problem with that is the price of that goes up every year. And I get Arch's price is high. Arch's actual price to Texas isn't as high as some others are, because he has other ways to get an NIL. So he can go where he wants to go and make things happen. If you're constantly trying to be the highest bidder, it's going to be hard, and you'll lose out on places like O-line, and you'll lose out on things in other positions. So I think that there is a ton of factors that go into it, and to just go a kid who is now 7 starts total under his belt, 2 against good teams. Yeah, Oregon too, or OU. You're right, CB. Transfer quarterback after transfer quarterback. And, you get a guy that you were hoping would be further along in week 1. He's made tons of strides in the first 5 weeks of this season. And the craziest part that we'll see, and it's a common thing now, is the lack of irony in when people mention Caldwell and go, did you see him throw one pass? And go, you said the same thing about Arch a year ago, because he played 2 games, and he went, oh, did you see him play those 2 games? He must be the greatest quarterback on the history of Earth. And then when he wasn't, you now go, well, the guy behind him must be then, because we are Texas. We must have the greatest quarterback. Expectations have to be set in a real place. And for what I thought, I was upset week 1. I was upset week 2. Week 3, I think, I was more upset week 3 probably, but like the first 3 weeks were upset at Arch Manning. Week 4, I was fine. Week 5, I was fine with Arch Manning. He wasn't perfect. There was plenty of other things wrong in that game. So expectations wise, my expectations are much more upset about some of the coaching, some of the team attitude, and it's about that offensive line. And I think that's kind of where we want to start today, Matt, is about the attitude of this Texas team, because you always try and stay away from the media. And I think for Texas, the last Texas team we saw, the Texas team that went to the playoffs twice with Quinn Ewers, there was a lot more of the guys who were there when it was bad. And the guys who kind of had to go through all of the negative press and everything that was wrong with Texas. And now we are in the world of, you have to be able to move forward and find a way to say, now you see all the bad press, now you see what's negative out there, and now you can not believe your stink don't smell. You don't have to believe any of that anymore. You can now move on to, let's go play some real football and go prove these guys that we're good, as opposed to, let's play Texas football, whatever the hell that was supposed to mean at the beginning of this season. We're going to play 16 games. You're not going to play 16 games. You're not. This team's not good enough to play 16 games right now. And I think that philosophy from week one has been somewhat of the problem going through. And for this coaching staff, this is the big moment for them to come out and really grind into these players. Guys, we were wrong. We thought you were good. You're not good enough. So you have to go prove to us you're good enough by going out there and playing. I don't care about what you do in practice anymore. I don't care about any of that. You have to work your butt off here all day. You got to do all that, but you need to go prove it on the damn field, because right now we look like idiots because we said you were good, and apparently you're not. And you got to start the message that we're all going to lose our jobs. You guys aren't going to get drafted. Everything's going to go to shit if you guys don't care about playing on a Saturday. We're going to play a rival. And if you show up with how you showed up against Florida, we're going to lose by 40 points.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you can necessarily approach it any other way. It feels like this team. I mean, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of people who were not on the teams early on in Sark's tenure that were struggling. The 2021 team, the 2022 team. And the majority, and Sark said it before the season, the majority of this team only knows winning. They only know conference championships. They only know college football playoff contention. And I think that that's kind of a problem, because they don't know how to face adversity. They don't know how to be the underdog or earn that that motivation that nobody believes in us. When for the last 26 months, I guess, people have just been telling you that you're the new face of the SEC and you run the SEC and you're going to win a national championship and all these different things. It certainly didn't help that everybody had all those wild expectations about Arch, but you also heard the wild expectations partly from this show as well. I'm not going to say that either of us are void of that blame, but you heard nothing but good things about the offensive line in the offseason. You heard nothing but Ryan Wingo is going to be a number one wide receiver, and Arch has all the weapons in the world and the best running back room in the SEC. And gosh, Trevor Gooseby is just as good as Kelvin Banks, and blah, blah, all the way on down the list. And I think the players believed that, and they don't know what it feels like, or I guess they probably do now that it happened twice, but I don't think they knew what it felt like to get hit in the mouth, because they've approached this season as though they are front runners.
Yeah.
And we're just better than everybody else. When
we play our
you
style
may
of
be more
football,
talented than everybody else. Huh?
We play our style of football and that will win.
Yeah. And you may be more talented than most of the teams that you play, but guess what? They play better football than you right now.
Yeah.
They're more sound in their mechanics and their fundamentals and their execution. They're not committing bad penalties. They're not turning the ball over as much. everything down the list, you're failing. And the sooner that they realize, and maybe they do now that they came out and got their asses kicked up and down the field by a 1-3 football team, that, yeah, we need to take a different mindset into the rest of this season, because if we slip up one more time, our season's over and it's a failure. If Texas loses against Oklahoma, I don't care if they win the rest of their games, the season's a failure. Because if you don't make the playoff, when you start the season as number one, and you're projected as the national champions, and your quarterback is projected to win the Heisman Trophy, and you don't make the playoff, that's a failure.
Yeah.
And the standard at the University of Texas is to win the championship. And you're not playing to the standard. So the faster that they learn to get that mentality back, the better off they'll be. Hopefully they learned it this past weekend, because Florida, and I think Florida deserves a little bit of credit as well. They're a really talented team.
Yes.
But so are you.
Yeah.
And they made you look like a Division II football team on Saturday.
I mean, because the reality is, yes, this matchup was supposed to be won this is supposed to be won by the end of the season. Like, this matchup of Texas and Florida was supposed to be one of the top ones at the beginning of the season. And then it fell apart. It wasn't because of Florida. And then Texas showed up and showed that it should have been, because Florida was there. It starts there. And look, you can hate Sark all you want. You go find me the better coach. That's fine. Or we could end back. This is again, and people hate this analogy. It's like Dak Prescott. If you want to end up in purgatory where you just go, I personally cannot handle expectations. I personally cannot handle my team being good, but not good enough to win a title. So I'd rather us be terrible for a lot of years, for like 10 to 15 years while we find the next guy. That's what happens when you just fire a coach who's winning games.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones. So I get it. I get that there's I think Sark has to continue to improve. I think he has improved in a lot of things. And I think he has to continue to improve. Joe, I'll say this to the scheduling. The reality isn't the 3 in the beginning. That's how the Big 12 always worked. The Big 12 didn't allow you to schedule games later in the season. So when these schedules were made, we were still in the Big 12. So that's why we have all our games at the beginning. Normally, Ohio State wouldn't be week 1. Ohio State would be week 2 or 3. So it wouldn't be 3 cupcakes in a row. It would be cupcake, Ohio State, cupcake. Is the normal way that we had always done it at Texas in the Big 12. So, and then now we're in the SEC and we see other teams. These schedules are already made well before we were in the SEC, though. Maybe down the road, you will see them change philosophy and put a non-conference somewhere later in the schedule. But the way that the SEC used it when we came in, we're like, cool. That helps us if you have all your stuff up front, because then we can just backload you and we'll have some other games go up front. But that's the main reason, is that's how the Big 12 does it. And we scheduled this when we were in the Big 12. And Ohio State was week 1. That was probably, you'd prefer that one to be week 2 or 3, and it would have been a different game for both teams. But it is what it is. And that's where I go. I think Sark does have a lot of questions to answer, because, again, I said this yesterday, I think Sark coaches for the team he wants, not the team he has, a lot. And he has to continue to fight that in himself. He has to continue to work to put the right game plans together for Arch Manning, because he is calling game plans of the Sark offense, because he believes Arch can run it. And I think Arch can run it sooner rather than later, but the offensive line can't run it, because you have to have a run game for this to work. You have to have complementary football. The entire way that the Sean McVay system, the Shanahan system, this system that all these guys are kind of using, this pro-style system, is we have to have a bunch of different weapons you can hit. If you look at what San Francisco just did with a bunch of backups, was spread the ball around everywhere. Too many weapons. You can't guard all our guys. Somebody's going to be open. And San Francisco's offensive line was able to hold for Mac Blake enough that he was able to get the ball out and find some other guys. I think Shanahan's a really, really good coach as well. He gets plenty of his own guff because he hasn't won a Super Bowl. And people say he'll never win one. So there's, he gets guff, and I think he's a great coach. But the passes, that's how San Francisco won the game, was a lot of weapons. If you take away the run game, then you see what's happened to San Francisco last year without Christian McCaffrey. They didn't have a run game, and all the other weapons start to not matter as much. So without the run game, it really you have to find a problem. And what do you need in a run game? You need angry offensive linemen who want to go make a push and want to go get there. And I don't know if that offensive line is getting there. If you want to give my big critique of Sark is recruited offensive linemen for pass pro and developed them for pass pro, and has not developed anybody for a run blocking offensive line. I think that's probably his biggest fault that I would give him, is that he's more concerned about protecting the quarterback because he is a quarterback and he wants to throw the ball, and he assumes the run game will come with that, and it won't.
Look, I don't disagree with anything you said. I think that Sark needs to make some adjustments in terms of the way he recruits offensive line. I do think Fasusi would have been helpful to this football team. I don't know what his PFF grades and how he's been grading out for Oklahoma so far. I can't imagine it'd be worse than Brandon Baker. But that's one guy. And honestly, I don't think that the tackles are having as much of an impact on the way that this offensive line has been performing as opposed to the interior at left guard and at center. Those have been the biggest issues. Cole Hudson has looked lost. I don't think he's a natural fit for center. Just because he's experienced doesn't mean he knows how to play the position well, and he hasn't played the position well. The revolving door at left guard has been an absolute disaster. And they're kind of stuck with it because they missed on a guy in the transfer portal this offseason, and they haven't recruited the interior particularly well. Even DJ Campbell, who was their best offensive lineman on Saturday, has struggled this year, and he's in his 5th year in the system. I don't think that going after a transfer quarterback in the portal makes any sense whatsoever. If you're trying to sit here and say, Zachariah, that Sark has failed at developing Arch, I think that that's a wild overreaction. He's 7 games under his belt as a starter, 5 games into his first year. Like, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It's absurd to say Arch can't do it when he's 5 games into, go look at any pro quarterback as a rookie. It's very, like, you look at Jaden Daniels and some of these guys that have excelled as a rookie. That's great. The truth of the matter is it takes time for guys to develop. Arch just legally became able to drink alcohol. I think he can get better. So the reality of the situation is, number one, this is a team that isn't gelled very well. They're young at a lot of very key positions. They're inexperienced at a lot of key positions offensively. And that's why I said a couple of weeks ago, I think it might have been after UTEP or maybe after San Jose State. It was after one of the early games. We thought that this was the team that Sark envisioned when he came to Texas. Like, this is the year.
Yeah.
It's probably next year.
It is probably next year. And
that's
I mean, you're
okay.
and you're going to have to keep making adjustments, figure out some more stuff on that O-line, but it does not feel like this is the team because you were expecting the youth to come in and merge in better than it did, but it's also not hugely surprising that it takes the youth a little while to get into it. Once again, we are 5 games into this season. I get the 2 losses really hurt. That Ohio State game we talked about was going to be rough. And then Florida is that unexpected loss you didn't want to have. It now takes away your ability to lose to OU or to lose to Florida or Georgia, or, you didn't want to lose to A&M, but you had a couple other games that were kind of questionable. You can't lose those now. But it doesn't mean your season's over. It means you need to address these issues and start to actually move forward instead of believing, well, we're good enough. Because I think if you just think, well, we're good enough, once you do get down to the end of the season, and if you do make a playoff run and somehow get into the back end of the playoffs, but if you beat Florida, but you lose to Georgia, and you just go, well, we're not really good enough though, because we don't have that next level, and Texas needs to find that next level because they are not necessarily talented enough to just be able to run over teams. You You have to be able to find that next level in the game. They haven't gone there yet.
Find me a team that, has been to the college football playoff semifinal 3 years in a row. It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Michigan came off a national championship. They were bad last year. These things, sometimes you get a couple of good years, you have to take a step back for a year and get a reality check, and then you come back. That's not indicative of a failure of a program. That's indicative of, well, we did lose a lot of guys to the NFL, some guys that we didn't expect to lose, like a Cam Williams, a couple other guys, but we did. So now we're in a position where we're reloading, but it's going to take some time for this reloading to take effect, and we got to bring some other guys in. And
No, it is.
Yeah, Arch is in his third year at Texas, but there's something to be said for actual game action as opposed to doing it in practice. It's really different to go ball out in practice, which by all accounts, despite what somebody told me the other day, that Arch has been inconsistent in practice and he can't make reads across the middle even when he's not, that's BS. But we know Arch has been doing it in practice. It's really hard to do that, or it's not hard to do that. What's hard is when you're facing an SEC defense or an Ohio State defense and your offensive line can't hold up and give you any time to throw. This is what's this Matthew Caldwell came in and threw one good pass thing. Do we honestly believe, everybody in the chat, tell me, do you honestly believe that if Matthew Caldwell was behind center for all 42 of those dropbacks, getting pressured 35 times, getting sacked 6 times, getting hit 8 times, with 15 yards rushing from his running backs combined, that he would have had better production than Arch Manning? Because if you say yes, you're lying.
But by the way, you know why that play worked really well for Matthew Caldwell? They thought it was a run. They sold out on the run. Because when you put in a backup quarterback, you normally run the football.
Bingo.
So that's why they didn't rush at all. They just kind of sat waiting for the run. So we had time. It's not that's all kind of similar stuff. I get the concept that you want things to be faster. This reminds me of, I remember during COVID watching a festival clip with a friend of mine. And he was like, we're never going to go back to that. And I was like, you'll be amazed how fast people forget and how fast people want something else. You'll be amazed at it. You'll blow your mind. And now we're only 5 years. We're 4 years past it, 3 years past it, and they just show it. But the year after ACL Fest is completely packed, and there's droves of people. They do this crane shot or the drone shots at ACL Fest now this last weekend here in Austin, and it's seas of people. And you're like, yeah, no one cares. You move on, you move forward. And so the fact that we just forget that this is how college football was for a really, really long time for everybody, except for a few dynasties. There's a few teams that have been able to basically stack their deck to have the top recruits at every position and have these top teams every single year. And that is now gone. You can't really stack those recruiting classes quite like you could before. And now we see teams with transfer portal that they're able to fill those needs through the transfer portal. The issue is it's really hard to do that every single year and it always works. Normally you do that in 1 year, it doesn't work, and 1 year it does. So there's very few teams that every single year are like, we are killing it anymore in today's game. You're all going to lose games. It's going to be something a little bit different. Now, if you're lucky and you win, if Texas wins Ohio State, then they have a much better chance to go. And if Texas beat Ohio State would have a much harder time having the rest of their season go the way they wanted to. That game was important. But looking at the concept of what college football is and the history of it and the way it's headed in the future, to believe every single year that any team should be the front runner every single year because they were the front runner last year and they were this team is flawed logic. And I agree with you too, CB. Like Arch Manning, there's stuff you can watch in his clips of him, his pocket presence is miles ahead of Quinn Ewers. where he's dodging things and getting outside. You just have to be able to find the ways to make that work to your advantage, as opposed to where it is now, where it's just chaos. And then people go, he his fourth read's open. And you go, really? So I get you're not a quarterback, but if I gave you 10 seconds and someone was trying to murder you with a knife, would you be able to find the right read in that film? You gave you 10 whole seconds while this guy is literally chasing you around the room with a knife. I don't think you would. It's very difficult to do in the moment, and very few guys are really, really good at it. And the guys that are have been doing it for a while. I mean, hell, Josh Allen is MVP Josh Allen now. But we remember Josh Allen when he started out in the NFL. He was a really talented player who made a ton of mistakes. So it is what it is when we get into these. I think, we look at, I'll go back to, again, Ty Simpson, who's playing great, and Alabama's playing great, and good for them. Ty Simpson was 23 of 43 in week 1. He missed 20 passes in week 1 against Florida State, who's now the number 25 team in the country, I think. Mm-hmm. After getting beat by Virginia, not looking as good, right? So we're saying that Florida State's not that team. They don't. So they're in a similar, it's not like everything is, we've got 5 weeks. We know all this information now. I think there is still a jury out on a lot of it.
Well, yeah. And I'll add on to your point by saying, first of all, I agree with Joe. If Carson Beck was behind center, he wouldn't have finished the game. If Ty Simpson was behind center, he doesn't beat Florida in that situation. If the only quarterbacks that could have beaten Florida with that offensive line play on Saturday are Heisman Trophy winners or Vince Young. Like Johnny Manziel could have done it,
and 2005 Vince Young, not 2004 Vince Young. Let's remember Vince Young wasn't perfect his first year. So let's remember
Vince Young could have done it. Johnny Manziel could have done it. Cam could have done it. That's about it. Maybe Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
guys like that. Like, is everybody out of their mind?
No, I get it. Look, I understand the frustration that comes out of watching that game and just watching it in the moment and then sitting with just that game. Me and you, Matt, have the benefit of being paid to do this. So we rewatch games and we go back and we watch different things in the game in the moment. So when you watch it the first time, you kind of sit there and go, okay, something's going wrong in our passing game. And then when you rewatch it, you go, oh my God, we can't run the football at all. Arch has 0 time. It doesn't matter how many guys are even really getting open, but there's not, because you can watch the all 22. And Matt did a great breakdown. By the way, if you didn't see it yesterday, go back and watch it on the YouTube channel here at Texas Sports Unfiltered. If you want to see what Arch was facing, then go back and watch that, and it will show you all the times, and not even all of them, but a number of them where he is pressured and there's a problem with that. I mean, it's frustrating because it's such a hard piece when you try and set expectations before the season. You try and put these things, and then things don't go according to plan. They are below expectations, but then all the pressure goes to one guy. And my hope above hope is that this is how the Texas team reacted last season to everyone hating Quinn and making a run down the end and playing good football down the end. And the Texas team being like, y'all, look, if it's us against our own fans at a certain point, and not all of y'all, but some of y'all, then so be it. We believe in Arch Manning. And we believe that we can go win these games. And if they start to play for Arch Manning and start playing for somebody other than I'm just going to go out there and play, and Cole Hudson starts to play instead of standing up after he hikes the ball and stands there and goes, well, I don't see anybody right in front of me, so I guess I'm kind of check out early, boss. As long as we don't see that, and maybe we start to see some guys really start to get angry and start to get mad like Florida was last week, that they were pissed off, that they got told that they're nothing, maybe we get a win. Maybe Texas can fight back in this. But I think that's kind of where Texas has to find out what they're going to be.
Couldn't have said it better myself. At a certain point, this team is going to have to start playing angry. The coaching staff is going to have to figure out how to get that out of them because that's their job as coaches. I understand that people are frustrated that Steve Sarkisian, brushed off a lot of questions in the press conference. It's not his responsibility to tell you what he's going to do.
No, and he
answers
normally
questions to the media, and he won't do that even when Texas is successful. But if Texas comes out with the same offensive line combination on Saturday against Oklahoma, and you don't see anything different, you have a right to be mad.
No,
but why don't we wait until we see how he adjusts to this?
No, I agree. I don't like the non-answers either. I don't like a lot of those pieces. I don't like what happened last week. All of those are true. But what I really don't like also is people getting it wrong. And like just blaming people and just go, no, let's make him a flop already. Let's go ahead and play this train. And hopefully, man, guys like CB will have all these tweets and these stories bookmarked and ask for updates here in a few weeks, in a month or so, when things start to turn around and look a little bit better. I think Texas has the talent to get it done, but they're gonna have to figure out something soon. But I'll tell you what we're gonna figure out, man. We're gonna get to a very special interview right now. I want to get into, we'll do this. How about we get into a special interview? We talked earlier today with a very special guest. So why don't we get to it? Let's introduce. He is the host of the Will Cain Show on Fox News and Will Cain Country on Fox News Audio. Joined the talk to me and Matt a little bit earlier today. Here is our interview with Will Cain. We welcome into the show Will Cain. Appreciate you joining the Open Gym today, Will. A pleasure to have you, as always. It has been a tumultuous week here, or at least a couple of days for Texas fans. I know you're probably feeling a little bit of that too, the heat after a Florida loss, Will. So we appreciate you joining us. But to start off bluntly, how do you feel about this Texas program to start us off, Will?
Not good. Not good at all, Patrick. I want to, I think for the first, 4 weeks of the season, it's like, okay, look, let's be blunt. We got a quarterback problem. But against Florida, all of a sudden, I think I was telling myself, well, we've got a good team, but we've got a problem at quarterback right now. But after Florida, I think it became pretty obvious we got a lot of problems. It's not just the quarterback. And obviously, notably along the offensive line. And it just kind of leaves us in this place right now, no running game whatsoever. And it leaves us in this place right now where, man, I have no idea what to make of this season, but it's no longer really optimistic. It's no longer, a 10-2 team or something like that. Now I think we're in the range of like, are we a 7-5 type team? I'm not trying I don't want that to be the case, but it's kind of how it looks.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame you for feeling that way. I mean, you look at what happened against Florida and the way that offensive line just kind of got abused up front, physically, athletically, just about anything Florida did. Texas got whipped up front. It was kind of on both sides of the ball, to be honest. So it's hard to be optimistic about that. I was a little bit more optimistic about one thing, which was the quarterback. I thought Arch really played his butt off. He competed despite getting all those pressures and all that, all those hits that he took. I was proud of the way that he kind of, battled through all that. He threw a couple picks, whatever, but I think he's far from the biggest problem at this point. What do you see as the biggest problem at this point, Will? Because there's obviously a lot going on, and it's kind of hard to put your finger on it.
I still think it's the quarterback. I'm glad you were encouraged. I want to be encouraged, and I understand where you would have seen moments to come out of it like that. I mean, there was a couple of drives where you're like, okay, that drive was really good, and against somebody who's not Sam Houston, that methodical, passing oriented, finding the open man, making the throws drive had kind of been even missing from this entire season. And there was at least 2 of those in this game, like a drive where you're like, that was impressive by Arch. But, when he does that, Matt, it's like, okay, he steps up, he plants his feet, and he makes a throw. But the problem is he doesn't do that often. So you can take that however way you want. You can finding those little moments. He's finding what works. He's finding out how to get back to what it means to be a quarterback. And now instead of 2 drives, he needs to put together 2 quarters. And then from there, hopefully 3 quarters, and then a full game like that. But the vast majority is still, in my mind, off platform, hurried, low arm slot, firing it. Like, why does he throw it so hard? And I want to be clear about something. I'm rooting for Arch. Like, I want this to all work out. I like the guy. But I can't answer why he's doing the things he's doing. Like, why does he throw the ball so hard? It seems like an uncatchable ball. There was a couple in this game where he threw it hard, and you're like, oh, he needed to. He needed to thread that in there like that. But most of the time he's doing that, it's unnecessary and makes it look hurried. And I'll tell you guys, I was watching the game with probably, 3 or 4 UT fans. One guy played at UT, and we're all watching it together. And what is it, Caldwell, right? Caldwell comes in and just throws that dart. And the one play he's in, we're like, oh my God, that's what it can look like. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, it's been rough. And going forward, Texas has to figure out some things on that offensive line. They're right now 128th in the country in pressure rate, and that is really, really not good. And some of that goes on not getting the ball out fast enough, but a lot of that goes on being able to run pass protection. We know they're not a great run blocking line. Now they can't even do pass pro. If you're trying to rebuild an offensive line and trying to rebuild somewhat of a team culture and a passion going forward, knowing you're playing your rival this week in OU, what is your message in the locker room, and what are you trying to get out of this offensive line to say, I know you guys aren't this bad. You have to play a little bit better for us.
Yeah, and I like that point because they shouldn't be this bad.
No.
And that's one of the discouraging things for me. This is the same team. Not exactly, obviously. We know that Kelvin Banks is gone, but Trevor Gooseby is really good, or supposed to be and has been. And DJ Campbell, all these guys. The only position that you could really look at and go, why has there been a big drop-off would be right tackle. That'd be the only one. Otherwise, the other 4 spots, those guys have played. Those guys have been there. I guess left guard, Neto, and all that's pretty new as well. But I don't know. And Kyle Flood is a great coach. So I don't know what's missing and why it looks so different from last year. I just don't think that the talent drop-off is that big of a drop at most of those positions. So I don't know why it is the way that it is. And I think it's embarrassing. So on the pass protection, to your point, maybe I should be a little more charitable to Arch, right? There's a reason he's not setting his feet. There's a reason that he's having to rush or hurry these throws. But the run is even more embarrassing. You said, aren't we like 132nd in the run, like 128th in pass protection, but like the bottom, like when it comes to rushing?
Yeah, it's pitiful. They had 15 rushing yards from running backs on Saturday. That's a crazy line.
Yeah, I think that was on like 11 carries as well, which makes it all the more abysmal. I went through a bunch of stats yesterday on our show, Will, about the success rate in the run game, and the I think 31% of their runs on first down were stopped for no gain or less. Those are the kinds of things that just can't happen, especially when you're going into face an Oklahoma team who has been almost across the board, at least statistically, the number 1 defense in the country in most respects. They haven't had too dissimilar of a schedule from Texas, if we're being honest. Maybe a little bit easier if you take into account Ohio State versus the Michigan game. Auburn, I don't think, is a very good football team, but for all intents and purposes, they seem like an extremely good defense. And Patrick and I talk about this every week, and it seems like it's a different answer every week. What do you think that they have to do to kind of get going offensively to, get off to the fast start that they so desperately need against a defense that's unbelievable right now?
So And by the way, I think that if you're looking for like, I don't want them to be excuses, but silver lining or hope, you're like, well, you know what? Actually, Florida's a really good defense. Like you could tell yourself that and be like, but then on the other side of that coin is, so is OU. And so is a lot of the SEC. So it's not like, oh, that's going to be the aberration. That's what you're dealing with this season. You're dealing with those types of teams that you just faced in Florida. And look, the one thing I'm not going to do is pretend like I'm smarter than Sark. But I mean, my entire thing would be make this as easy as possible for Arch. So at the beginning of the game, scheme up quick throws, scheme up easy, quick, shallow crosses, whatever it may be. You know, I had Urban Meyer on my show 2 weeks ago on Will Kane Country. On Friday, we do a sports exclusive. And Urban and I talked about a lot of the programs in the country. This was before the last weekend. And Urban said this. He said, I think that Arch will be okay, that it takes time. And he pointed out Joe Burrow. And he said, Joe Burrow took time to get where he was. And he said to me, those receivers are actually doing Arch no favors. He said they're not getting open. And, you know, that's kind of the first time I thought about that when Urban told me that, because, you know, I read you guys. I read all kinds of stuff throughout offseason, and I know that the recruiting talent is of these guys, of Wingo, and I love Livingstone and what Mosley is supposed to be. And I'm like, well, that shouldn't be a problem, right? Those should be very, very talented guys. You know, it shouldn't be a problem. But if Urban Meyer's telling me it's a problem and he's watching tape and he sees it is, then some of that also has to be on them. Like, where's the open guy? It is college football. There should be open guys. And we've seen Arch miss open guys. So back to Arch a little bit here. But I would be trying to talk to those receivers, and I would be scheming up things like, you know, if we can't run the ball and Arch is holding onto the ball too long, let's draw up plays that immediately and quickly get the ball out quickly, and use the speed of all of these guys. And if the defense, and I thought about this with Ohio State, because I feel like what Ohio State started doing was like, the best part of the Ohio State game was the beginning of the game. And it was like, we can run the ball. The first couple two drives, I'd say, wow, we can run the ball on these guys. And then Ohio State decided, but Arch isn't a threat. So then they load the box and they play everything short. And so if that's what happens, well, then you got to play the game of let Ryan Wingo or Parker Livingstone run past them. If they are going to play, if these shallow, quick throws aren't there, then it's got to be, you know, an up and out, you know, or not an up and out, but an out and up. And got to go over the top and hope that Arch can hit them. And the guy to get the offensive line just long enough to make that happen. But I would open the game seeing what can I get in that 5 to 7 yard range on passes, or even shorter. And, you know, like everybody says, that's essentially the running game now. So the quick pass out to the running back. I don't love the wide receiver screen. I don't love it. But that can be your running game. So short, quick passing to create a running game and to get that ball out of Arch's hands fast. That's what I would do.
There you go. We've got Will Kane joining us right now from the Will Kane Show, from Will Kane Country, host of both of those shows. You can follow him online at Will Kane Show. So Will, kind of expanding out on that, we have seen now in college football, we've heard the coaches, Sark has said it, Lane Kiffin, a bunch of other coaches, that the day of dynasties may be over, that undefeated seasons seem like a thing of the past. When you look at Texas and then kind of scroll out, does it feel a little bit more like with NIL, with the transfer portal, that there's not a stockpile of talent that year after year after year, you're going to be able to just switch in, have 12 guys go pro, and then have another, one-loss team? You may have to rebuild a little bit in between. You talk about Arch Manning needing time, and guys just need time to play on the field. Is it that, or is it just maybe this year is a little off and then Texas is off this year, but there's still going to be some of those Ohio States that are just going to be good every year?
That's a really interesting question. I would have, my initial reaction to that is that I don't think that's true, that there's going to be dynasties. Now, this season is clearly something different. Something different is happening where everybody that we thought was going to be good both at an individual level and a team level, is not good like we thought. Well, not that's Clemson, Penn State, or Texas. Cade Klubnik, Arch Manning, even Lenora Sellers, like the guys that we thought for sure, they're not the guys, and the teams are not the teams. But I think I certainly thought, and I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought Texas was in the midst of about a 3 or 4 year run here. Now, does that qualify as a dynasty? Are you going to win it every year? I didn't think that, but I definitely thought we're a top 5 team for the next couple of years. And because of that, I'm saying, well, Sark's building something that has real lasting impact. But again, that doesn't mean he wins a championship every year. My thought is this: instead of seeing Alabama be the far and away best team in the country over a period of time, and instead of it being a pool of 2 or 3, maybe 4 teams, maybe it's a pool of 12. Maybe it is a pool of 12 teams. And we said that could win the national championship going in. And then those teams kind of separate from what's next. That doesn't make all 12 of those dynasties, right?
Yeah.
But it does make those 12 consistently the ones that have the money, that bring in the recruits, that are always going to be good. The quarterback position is the hardest one in that, because everybody we're talking about, from Ohio State to Georgia to Alabama, including Texas, you're breaking in a new quarterback, and you're gonna have to do it a lot. And that's going to keep people from building that thing that can win 2 championships, 3 championships in a row.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great point. I was kind of on the same page with you, Will. I mean, I thought Texas was going to be, I think everybody did, right in the forefront of college football as a top team in the SEC and a top national title contender. It seems like through 5 games, I mean, their season's not over, but it seems like through 5 games, that's not going to be the case this year. A lot of disappointment across the board. Patrick and I have pointed out a few different things that we think have gone wrong with this team. But from your perspective, where do you see this program now as opposed to, August 24th, a week before the Ohio State game?
Oh, I thought we were going to be not just a playoff team, but in the national championship. I thought for sure. There was no doubt. And obviously I'm not feeling that way now. And it's less about the fact that they've already lost 2 games. It's more about the way they're losing. And honestly, it's about how they looked against lower competition. I went to the UTEP game in Austin, and that was one of the most disappointing wins that you've ever been a part of. Like, everybody kind of walked out of the stadium that day a little dejected. Like, that's what it looks like. So my optimism is way lower. Man, I don't want to be a downer with you guys. Like, I'm still a fan, and I'm still going to be all about it. I live in Dallas, so meaning it's Texas OU weekend, and so I'll put it back to you guys. College football less than the NFL. Like, just when you decide that you know what something is in the NFL, then something weird happens. Like, I decide the Cowboys aren't good, then they go on this 2-week run and they score 40 against the Packers and 37 against the Jets. I don't think college football provides me as many of unexpected surprises, but it still could. So, I mean, I don't know. I was just reading before I joined you guys. John Mateer may be back. That's bad news if he plays. But I don't know. Do you guys see a formula here where it actually is a nice little surprise this weekend and we beat OU?
Yeah, I mean, the easy point to look at is Alabama versus Florida State. Say Alabama lost to Florida State. They lost both lines of scrimmage. They looked awful. And then they beat Georgia. So I think there is something to be said of, in college football, so much of it, because they're young men, is in the world of, if they're not up for the game and they come out and go, we'll play good football, and you played a really pissed off Florida team who knew their coach may not make it to the locker room after the game. He may get fired in the end zone if Texas blows him out. I think that there was a little bit more fight in that, and that's where you have to go back to coaching and say, how do you get this team to realize they are no longer a championship favorite? Preseason number 1 does not mean anything now. You have now become a asterisk of the team that's unranked this quick. You're now a history note in the wrong way, trying to change that philosophy. So there is hope, and the John Mateer thing too feels like coaching still to me. Of, hey, prepare for both. Waste some time in practice, but We never know because it is college football, and that's what makes it great is that you do have these moments in it. So I'm with you, Will, that it is there's a lot going on, but I think there is plenty of hope still because you do have talent. That's one thing some of these teams don't have, and we know they have talent. It's just getting them to play up to that talent.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Patrick here in a lot of ways. I mean, I think that in today's college football, there's not going to be very many undefeated teams anymore. There's always going to be a team who has a bad weekend or, doesn't live up to the hype, or a player that had a quarterback that has a bad game, blah, 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 blah. I think last week was kind of an aberration in a sense that I think everything just went wrong for Texas at one time. I don't expect that to be the case necessarily going forward. It reminded me a lot of the Georgia game last year, where it's just from the beginning, everything went wrong and they just never really were able to recover. They kind of played better in the second half, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. And I think with this team, the one thing that I really think that Sark can point to is that Georgia game and say, hey, we had a really similar this game to this last year. We got whipped up front on both sides of the ball. We turned the ball over. We did this, we did that. And then we came out, we won every single game until the national semifinal. We've been in this position before. And I think that that's kind of the message that you have to send because they have been in this position before. And also, the other thing I would say is, and maybe this is just me being a little bit of an optimist, is Red River, it can get drunk no matter what the what the records are. So you could chalk it up to just being a rivalry week, and anything can happen in this game no matter who's on what side of the ball. Even if John Mateer plays, it doesn't really matter because a couple of years ago everybody expected Texas to blow out Oklahoma, and they Oklahoma won. So it can be anything can happen, and that's why this week is so much fun.
Man, that would do so much for Arch and the fan base, just beating OU. Like, it would do so much. And by extension, so much for his confidence. I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but I think the interesting conversation is, and I'm not rooting for this, but I talk politics when I'm not talking sports a lot on the Fox News channel. I don't know of anyone that is in a tougher political situation than Steve Sarkisian. Like, I don't know what you do if your quarterback doesn't get it right against Oklahoma, doesn't get it right at some point. Like, I don't know if you can ever make a change. I don't know how this works and how you deal with a situation like this. It's totally, I think it's unprecedented. I don't know of another example, where all the things outside of the play on the field impact it more than what's happening on the field, and handcuffs a coach into what your choices are.
It does. And I mean, we also know at practice, Arch is great. So we have to figure out how to get that Arch onto the field on Saturday and get there. Will, I know we can't keep you for too long. We got to let you go and get back to all of your many jobs and much of your work. There's Will Kane from Will Kane Country, the Will Kane Show. Follow him at Will Kane Show. Before you go, though, any prediction for Saturday, Will?
Let's just do it. Let's have some fun, and let's say it comes together. How about 27-24 Horns? Let's do it. This is the get right game. This is the one. This is what Arch makes it.
Appreciate you, Will. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking some time to join the Open Gym today, brother.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you.
All right, back here on Open Gym. If I can find the right settings to get us back where, oh, that's not right either. We'll get there. We'll get there at some point. We'll figure it out. Give me a minute. Somehow all of our settings have gone away. I'll figure it out here in a second. We're going to take a break. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break and come back, get into some NFL conversation, get into a little Overreactions Tuesday as well. Huge quarterback trade in the NFL. We'll get to that as well when we come back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
At Sleep Cycle Center, we can treat your sleep apnea in various ways. My story starts 15 years ago with the loss of my father to undiagnosed untreated sleep apnea. And this is a very preventable disease, and treatment options are various. Millions of people across America have sleep apnea, and they fail to realize the early warning signs. Fatigue, daytime sleepiness, and snoring are the most common signs. We'll find the best solution using advanced technology, oral and epigenetic appliances, or CPAP. We offer weight loss, oral surgery, and laser treatments. Schedule your appointment today and get your sleep evaluation.
If you're looking to remodel a kitchen, renovate your bathroom, or maybe add some new life to your outdoor space, reach out to our friends at McCall Custom Homes. They are custom home builders and renovators here in Central Texas, and they've been doing it in Central Texas for more than 40 years. It's a father-son team with a ton of experience, and all of that experience is here in the Austin area. So they know what it takes to turn an Austin area home into something truly, truly special. Right now, our friends at McCall Custom Homes are offering free estimates to TSU listeners so they can come out to your place, hear your vision, they can tell you what they can do, and then you can go from there. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their website, McCallCustomHomesATX.com. Look at the gallery of jobs they've done over the last 4 decades. And then when you're ready, again, reach out to them and they will come to you. McCallCustomHomesATX.com, or you can call or text Mike McCall directly at 512-633-9580. It's McCall Custom Homes. We build value into your home.
Field goal, end zone, interception.
What's up, kid?
Just trying to write a new commercial for audiovisual consultations. You know, football season is about to start.
Okay, so what have you got so far?
Roses are red, violets are blue, football is awesome, our installations are too.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting what I want.
Okay, how about my football lies over the ocean?
Boy.
Yeah, I guess I just don't really understand this sport. Like, think about hockey, a sport played by real men. Fights, no TV timeouts, and no flopping.
Yeah, that's why Audiovisual installs systems so that every customer feels like they're right there on the field.
People's love for football might be hard to understand, but AVC can tackle any residential or home improvement to get you ready for the big game.
Now you're getting it.
Ready for the halftime show?
What?
Hug your kids, laugh with strangers, and make love to whoever the hell you want.
Just call us at 255-8678. That's 512-255-8678.
Back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered. I figured it out. Here on Open Gym. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan of Texas Longhorns on SI. And, of course, you, the third member of Open Gym. Text line's open, 512-222-9328. Or you can hit us up over there on the chat, Facebook, Twitch, X, and on YouTube. Appreciate you. If you're on YouTube, make sure you give us that like and subscribe. Big thanks to Will Kane for joining us today as well. Sharing some of his love and knowledge of Texas football as we roll along. But always good to have some guests. I think we'll have an OU guest on later this week as well, Matt.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. We're a return guest, as a matter of fact. He is the foremost ball knower expert of the Oklahoma Sooners. So he will be on the show on Thursday, I believe.
There you go. So we'll talk some Oklahoma as we get closer to that game. Excited to get closer to the Red River rivalry. Maybe not as excited as I was last week. I feel like maybe there's a little bit of the excitement that has died down a little bit, after not a great game there. A lot of problems arising. But the hope is, as you just said there to Will, anything can happen at the Cotton Bowl. For the Red River rivalry, the Red River shootout, whatever you want to call it. I always say the Red River rivalry is the easiest way to get cut off at a bar. They just go, I'll have another round. And they say Red River rivalry. And you go, yeah, right. Never mind. Go somewhere else.
That should be a sobriety test by the Dallas police this weekend. To be honest.
That's it. Say Red River rivalry and you'll be good to go. Matt, first, before we get to our Tuesday overreactions, do you have any thoughts on the big trade today? The Bengals finally went ahead and made a move. They've realized their season is hanging on by a thread. They are trying to get somebody to come in. Browning's not getting it done. Now, again, this is offensive line woes more than it may be quarterback woes. Browning's been good in the past as a backup quarterback, but they thought we need to change something up. And most people thought, let's go get a more mobile quarterback. Maybe you call up the Giants and ask for a Russell Wilson or a Jameis Winston, who might be able to be more mobile with a bad offensive line, or maybe a call up a Raiders right now and ask him if they got Geno Smith wants to make a move to a worse team because Geno looks really bad. But maybe you go out and try and get someone who can be a little bit more mobile. They go the opposite direction and they make a trade for Joe Flacco, an in-state trade, the rare interdivision in-state trade from the Cleveland Browns to the Cincinnati Bengals. That's it's a little bit of a head scratcher, isn't it, to see Joe Flacco going to the Bengals? I don't know how this gets that much better than Jake Browning. I get he's a good quarterback. He can do a lot of things, but there's the hope like, well, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Joe Flacco will figure it out way faster than Browning would?
I mean, look, this is bizarre to me because Jake Browning can move a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you still have that clip of the Bengals offensive line from a few days ago, but if that is your offensive line, I mean, it's the same thing we're talking about with Texas. Like, it doesn't matter who you put back there.
Yeah, wait, here we go.
You're basically substituting a guy.
Pressure off the
like
edge. Browning is
like, what do we think that Joe Flacco is going to do in that situation other than get broken in half? It's certainly bizarre. Like, if I was the Bengals, I probably would have traded for like literally anybody else doesn't have cobwebs in his knees.
Would have called the Giants. And said, give us what do you want for either one of those? You're not going to play either one of them. We'll take one of them. Both of them seem like better options because Jameis Winston had success with the Browns last year too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't great, but he was fun. And I think if you put him with Jamar Chase and he was good with Jerry Jeudy, but with T. Higgins, I think that, that could be fun to watch at least. I mean, and fantasy wise, I have no idea what this means. I know T. Higgins has been awful this year in fantasy because I have him on the team, and he has just been horrendous because once Joe Burrow's gone, that team just fell apart, and the O-line. It again shows you how important that O-line is, doesn't it? The Texans, the Bengals, like some of these teams, there is an offensive line lack of offensive line epidemic going on right now, Matt, for sure. In my head, I think there's too many kids now who just won't take the massive head trauma to play offensive line. This is not what I signed up for. And maybe not there. You just got to try and remind them you can make a lot of money at offensive line if you do it well.
Yeah, I don't know how this trade makes any sense whatsoever. You're giving it. Would they give up a 6th-round pick as well?
No, they gave up. It was a Joe Flacco and a 6 for a 5th.
Okay, so you gave up a 5th and you got back a 6th.
Yes, you moved back around in the picks
for Joe Flacco.
Hey, he made this to the playoffs 2 years ago.
Okay, well, this trade, and maybe this is a little hyperbolic, so excuse me for, whatever. I don't care. This kind of confirms to me that the Bengals don't know ball.
It confirms to me that they're very cheap and that they would rather say we did something and not really do anything than actually go out and be like, let's go try and make a bigger move. And I know you don't want to go get a quarterback you're going to have long term because you have Joe Burrow coming back and that's the guy. But yeah. I think you could have gone Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson, just make way more sense to me.
I think you could have gone with literally any other quarterback in the NFL than the least mobile quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yeah. No, it's a weird one. It's a weird one for sure for the Bengals, but we'll see how it happens. And Joe, I don't know. He moved up from 3rd string. He is now 2nd string. Shedeur Sanders is. So yeah, I don't know.
He is.
Look, it feels more and more that he's gonna eventually have to get into a game, and then we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we're all idiots, and Shedeur Sanders really is the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm not buying it, but look. We will see. We will see. Matt, every Tuesday we do our overreactions, and I get some of the biggest overreactions I've heard over the weekend. I didn't throw in. I told you at the beginning of the show that that Arch Manning should be benched is not in our conversation. That is not one of the overreactions. We talked about it earlier. I'm not throwing that in there because even for overreactions, that's an overreaction of an overreaction. I've also heard this phrase so many times in the overreactions of that. They got to bench Arch Manning. I don't know who else they have, but they need to bench Arch Manning. And I go, that second part makes it feel like you don't have enough knowledge to say they should bench him. If yours, I don't know who's behind him, but anyone's got to be better. You're like, wow. If you watch that and thought anyone could be better, that's crazy to me. But we'll start off not with Texas. Texas in the second one, don't worry. But we'll start off with our first overreaction. Penn State season's over.
Yeah. I mean, who else do they have left on their schedule? They got to play. Who do they play this weekend? First of all, that's the question.
Pull up the.
I think they're out of the top 25. That's why I can't find them immediately because they're not in the top 25 anymore, just like Texas. They played Northwestern this weekend, so I imagine they'll be okay. Although they played UCLA this past weekend and got run off the field. They got to play Ohio State, who's going to crush them. They got to play Indiana, who's probably going to beat them considering what UCLA did. Nebraska's not going to be a walkthrough. Iowa's not going to be a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Their season is bad.
I will say this. If they win out, they're in the playoffs.
Sure.
They win out, they're in the playoffs. I don't think they will win out, but if they do, they are still in the playoffs. So I will say it is somewhat of an overreaction to say their season's over because they still do have Ohio State and Indiana. And if they win those two games, then we're all just like, oh, well, they found their win in the second half of the season. But I am with you. This one feels more because the UCLA loss, to me, is much worse than the Florida loss because UCLA did not look like it has. A shout out to Rick Neuheisel's kid, though. Dude, that's the new interim coach or offensive coordinator or whatever he is for UCLA that came in and put together that team to beat Penn State. And I didn't get to see it, but apparently Rick Neuheisel was losing his mind on his CBS Sports sets, which I get. If you're a dad and your son's getting like his first big opportunity, and then he beats a top ranked team, that is huge.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get to our next one then. Texas season is over.
I mean, it's not a dissimilar situation to Penn State, if we're being brutally honest. I think that Texas has a better chance than Penn State does because, I mean, for one thing, I think that Arch Manning is better than Drew Aller at this point. He's been worse than Arch, and nobody's talking about it. But if you lose this weekend, it's over. I'll put it that way. You're at this rate, you're not beating Georgia, you're not beating Texas A&M. I don't know if you're beating Vanderbilt. So if you don't beat Oklahoma, your season's over.
All right. Our next overreaction here. Is this an overreaction or not, Matt? There will be no undefeated teams at the end of the regular season.
I think that's a fact.
I don't know.
That's a fact.
Okay, the only team that I think Ohio State has a pretty good shot because I feel like they've already played their toughest. Like I think they beat Penn State, and then they have to beat Michigan. I think Ohio State could be that team. I also Miami. I don't know who else they have that's going to be tough on them.
Wait a minute. Are we saying at the end of the regular season?
Regular season, not playoffs, not
Okay.
after the championship. I'll say after their conference championship game.
After their conference championship game, I don't think there'll be any undefeated teams because I think Oregon's better than Ohio State.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's an interesting one to push through to see if there's any actually not like that one's the question, because if there is no one who's undefeated, then it does change the landscape more and more of, is this a random season or is this something that is now the trend because of NIL and transfer portal. And I think if we see no undefeated seasons at the end, you'll see more and more people trying to really fight to get some restrictions put on these things. All right. How about we'll stay in college for a couple more? Ty Simpson is now the Heisman favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think he's got the best win out of any player with the win over Georgia. I think he's been more consistent over the last few weeks than Carson Beck. The only guy that I could think of that might be in that conversation as well is Dante Moore, but he has the thing working against him where he's playing in the West Coast, and that's a little bit harder in terms of getting seen. But he's been really good too, so I think Ty Simpson probably has the edge right now. But Dante Moore is going to be there down the stretch.
All right, and our last college football overreaction. By the way, if anybody has any overreactions they want to throw on the text line or on the chat, go right ahead and throw those in, and we will react to those as well. Last one. Bill Belichick will not finish the season at North Carolina. We heard Zay talking about it earlier that they've already shut down the Hulu documentary. There's just every report you hear is that it's bad and getting worse, that the players are not getting along, that the staff is not getting along, that the administration is pretty much just completely fed up and done with it. And it doesn't feel like this team is going to get any better throughout the season. Like, they're not really improving. They're just not very good. And it doesn't feel like they can fire Bill Belichick even after the season. After one season, they can't really fire him. But somehow, some way to get out of it where you can just both go, hey, man, this was clearly a really, really bad idea. Why don't we just try and work our way out of it, and then maybe we can figure some things out? What do you think that Bill Belichick's not even going to finish the season as the coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels?
If I'm being honest, Patrick, I can see this happening. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be because he gets fired, though.
No, I don't think so either.
I think he could resign. Or,
an
NFL coach gets fired and whatever. But I think that he could resign because this has been an absolute hot mess, disaster-filled garbage fest. You made Clemson's offense, which looked atrocious, worse than Texas's offense, if that's telling you anything. You made them look like the best offense in the country in the first quarter of that game. They scored 28 points on you.
Yeah.
Cade Klubnik probably could have had 8 touchdown passes in that game if they wanted to. And now this week, or they're on a bye this week. Next week, they traveled to California to take on the 4-2 Cal Golden Bears. And a quarterback, bear with me here, this is a tough one. Jaron Kiwi Sagapolutele. Dude is balling out. He's already thrown for almost 1,500 yards and 9 touchdowns. He's thrown a few picks, but he's a baller. I watched him at Elite 11. He's really good. He threw 3 picks against Duke, so the numbers are a little inflated. But I think that they're going to get beat in that game, and then the conversation really starts like, what are we doing here? We can't beat Cal.
Yeah, and then you play Virginia,
who's good,
who just beat,
as we've seen.
They're ranked now. Then you play Syracuse, and then I feel like this is the one that may do it, and they may even hold on until Duke just to hold recruits or hold whoever else. But if they lose to Stanford at home,
yeah,
like if you lose that one, that feels like, guys, we have to figure something out. And then basically he wouldn't get to the end of the season. This is why I think it is he loses to Duke at home. And even though this is a basketball rivalry, that's still your rival. And you lose to Duke at home, and he doesn't even coach the NC State game. He's like, peace out. I'm out. I got my health or some other thing came up. And knowing Bill Belichick, he would basically resign because he was unable to do his job due to other people being involved. Like he would blame it somehow on other. He'd be like, basically, the staff in the administration at North Carolina made it impossible for me to fulfill my duties, and they took away my ability. Yeah, so yada yada yada, something else, and blame somebody else. But I think it's possible, but I think it probably would come after Duke. I think it would probably still be a while down the road, unless that Miami thing happened, which I can't see Miami hiring him in reality, but it would be hilarious if they did.
It would be. Can we answer Hair of the Dog's question real quick?
Yes. He's got.
Okay. Hair of the Dog asks, I got a question. Is it wrong to wonder if Sark isn't the right guy for the program? I understand he made the playoffs 2 years in a row, but this seems to be headed in the wrong direction. I don't think it's wrong to have that thought in your brain. I'll put it that way. But I think that if you dissect it down to its core, there's a few things that you have to consider. Number one, look at where your program was the previous 6 or 7 years before Sark arrived. Look at where it was at the end of last season. That's a very big jump, and you are recruiting your ass off. You still have a very talented team. It's very natural, and it happens to a lot of programs that aren't a dynasty, to have a down year after a couple of good years where you had 27 players drafted into the NFL. I don't think that this year is indicative of where the program is headed. I think it's just a road bump on the road to continuing to get better. Even if you finish 10-2, I think that this year is still something that, you're going to look back next year when this team is more experienced, more confident, more talented, and you're going to say, "Oh, that was just a down year. We're back." It happens. It happens to every program, especially in today's college football. So I don't think it's wrong to wonder, but I think if you really boil it down, you'll figure out that he is the right guy. And there's no one else that I think you could bring in realistically that's going to be a better fit for what Texas does, because I think Sark is the perfect guy to have at Texas right now and in the future.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll add on to that it is the concept of if the perfect person is available and you believe this is the perfect hire and there's no one better and this is the guy, then that's kind of where you can go. But I don't know who that is in college football anymore. Like, I don't know what that name is that makes you think in today's era they've been so dominant that we've been able to, like, in the last couple of years when things have changed more in the transfer portal and NIL, the SEC hasn't won a national championship. So is it Ryan Day? Do you go get Harbaugh back out? And like, that's what I'm saying. I think there were those names before because they ran dynasties and stuff like that, but I don't think that name exists right now. So I don't know who you go. And so I think you're taking a swing if you get somebody else. And I don't want to take that swing yet because also throw in the fact that nobody's really going to want to take this job if you go, he had massive success, put tons of players in the NFL, which we were not doing before, changed a lot of things about this program, and put you a game away from the national championship 3 years in a row. But now we gotta move on because we got to find somebody better. And then you hire that next guy, and it's Brent Venables.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 years later, you're like, or 4 or 5 years later, you're like, okay, now we're back competing again. Oh, he got us there, but he didn't get us to the mountaintop. And it's just a cycle to constantly do that instead of saying, why don't we trust him to figure this out? Now, the line has always been when recruiting starts to go down, when everything starts to backfire and everything starts to go wrong, which is now you're not in those conversations 2 years in a row. So now your recruits start to drop down. Now transfers are asking for more money than they're asking to play for Sark. That becomes the issue. But I don't think we're even remotely close to that yet because, again, and I'm going to say this a lot over the next week or the next few days, we are in week 6 or week 7 now, I guess. We had a bye week, but we've played 5 football games. I get it is, we hate being 3-2 because we lost to 2 good teams. I get that. But it's crazy to be like, Well, we lost 2 games. Time like that to me is just the ultimate of bench your quarterback every time, fire your coach every time, get rid of everybody. It's just such a horrible way to run a business that I can't. It's like if someone's not perfect, you have to get rid of them. I get the standard is a standard, but who else? Like you fire Kirby Smart at Georgia, he's not the guy anymore. Fire Dabo Sweeney at Clemson, he's not the guy anymore. That's what I'm saying is I get, those guys won championships, but they're having down seasons.
Yeah. I just want to, my final point on this.
Yeah.
Do you know who the last 10 national champions are? I'm going to read it off.
Yeah.
It's a, Nick Saban, Dabo Sweeney, Nick Saban, Dabo Sweeney, Ed Orgeron, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day.
I mean, we get Ed Orgeron.
That's basically 4 guys. You want to go get Ed Orgeron? Nick Saban's retired. Kirby Smart's never leaving Georgia. Jim Harbaugh has a show cause for college football. The point I'm making is that not a lot of guys do this every year.
Yeah.
It's really hard to break through and be one of those 4 guys. Ed Orgeron was able to do it because he had the best team in the history of college football. It's a lot harder than just, well, we're Texas, and if Sark can't do it, then somebody else can.
No,
it's not really how it works.
And here, I agree with you. I think, that is all subject to change, that down the line, things may change. And you may say, all right, now we're spending more money and regressing on player development. We're regressing on some of these things that he was doing really well to start with. But I just can't say, I agree with you though. It does feel like there's limitations, but it kind of like Arch, I don't want a coach who's going to walk it. Like, it's really hard to find a coach who's going to be the best coach they're ever going to be day one when they walk in the door. Anyone you hire is going to have to be better than the day you hire them to win a national championship for Texas right now. So Sark has to grow. He does have his limitations. He needs to continue to grow through those, I think, is more the issue. The problem I had with Tom Herman, I thought Tom Herman did some things well too. The problem I had with Tom Herman was when he stopped growing and was very adamant that he was not going to grow anymore. I was like, okay, well now if you're going to tell me this is it, this is the Tom Herman you get, my IQ is whatever. He said his IQ all the time. And I'm the smartest guy in the room and you're wrong. I'm right. I'm not trying to get better. That's when I was like, okay, this is a problem now. Sark has not said that. Sark brings in analysts every year, the same way Saban did, the same way Kirby does, to try and learn more about the game and get better. So that's where I think he has to continue to evolve. When he stops evolving, that's when we start to get into the problem. And we're about to see it these next couple of weeks, because these next couple of weeks, if he does not evolve and digs his heels in, then it will be a much, much bigger problem.
Yeah. I still think that to move on from a head coach, and we're not talking about firing Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah, of course.
But I think to get to a point where you're actually wondering if somebody is the right guy, you have to have multiple years of consistent embarrassment or underperforming, or whatever you want to call it. Jimbo Fisher had 9 years or whatever with Texas A&M, 8 years with Texas A&M. And that was 8 years of a lot less success than Sark has had in his first 4. And I get the numbers of versus top 10 on all whatever.
Yeah, no,
you've accomplished a hell of a lot in 4 years.
Yeah, he has. And yeah, I think the future is still bright. It's just it sucks right now, but I still think the future is plenty bright. All right, let's get in some NFL overreactions, Matt. The Texans now scored a bunch of points in the fourth quarter against Titans, came out and ruined the Ravens. The Texans have found their offense.
Maybe. Or maybe they just played two really bad defenses.
That's why it falls in the overreactions.
I think that I need to
maybe.
I think it's an overreaction. I think that we need to see it a couple more times.
Yeah, they have a bye week this week, so this is kind of the let's get in and start to figure out what we're actually doing as you get into a long rest of the season. Then they come back and have the Seahawks on Monday Night Football the week after, and that's when you're playing a real defense again. So you get to feel good for a week, but then you play the Seahawks, and that becomes much harder. You play the 49ers after that. You're playing some pretty good teams once you get going. The Broncos, the Jags, who we'll talk about in a little bit, they won another one. So the Jags are up there. So you've got, when you come back from break, 4 teams that are all good teams that you have to go play. So this is I'm going with this as an overreaction for now because I just have not seen enough against good teams. Everyone is running over the Ravens, and you can run over the Titans as well if you want to, unless you're the Cardinals and sabotage yourselves at the end of a game. I mean, I don't know how the Cardinals lost that game. Still. All right, next one. Baker Mayfield will be an MVP finalist.
I think he's the lead for the MVP right now, so I think that's fair. If he continues to play well and he gets Mike Evans back, it's only going to get better. Chris Godwin can only get better. Bucky Irving getting healthy. I think he's had to deal with a lot this season. He's been very successful so far. The NFL loves him. Fans love him. I'm not the biggest fan in the world, but he's a lot more likable of a guy now than he was 10 years ago or whatever it was with Oklahoma. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's the front runner right now. He's playing like it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that's an overreaction at all. He is playing great football all of his time and seeing all of these different teams. The Panthers, again, get to kick themselves for having Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold on their roster, 2 guys who are playing really good football right now. And they're like, how do we screw this up again? So, oh, that's right. We hired Matt Rule. That's what we did. We hired Matt Rule, and he was not a good enough coach to identify anything. Over on the text side, my man Chan says, what about Kyle Flood to stay or leave? Is there, and again, I think this falls into it's much too early in the season to say these types of things, but I think there is the overreaction as well of it's time for Sark to have to no longer get to keep his staff together. The whole we have continuity thing seems to have run into the dirt a little bit. Are there changes to be made in the coaching staff? Again, early in the season, but is that an overreaction to say it's really time to shake up this coaching staff a little bit?
I think it's an overreaction right now. I think you have to have multiple weeks of what happened against Florida. Not necessarily in a row, but it has to happen against good teams in big situations like Georgia, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. If that offensive line plays that way against those 3 teams, then I think it's a conversation you have to consider. Not necessarily firing Kyle Flood, because I think that would be a monumental mistake regardless. I think that you maybe just need to shake things up, whether it's bringing in somebody else to help Sark craft the game plan to give Kyle Flood more time to focus on the offensive line, or maybe this is just a talent thing on the offensive line and you just need to bring a bunch of bodies in the portal. Because the last few years, he's done a pretty damn good job. I'm not going to let, the first 6 games of one season change my mind about Kyle Flood.
All right. How about this next one, Matt? The Patriots will be a playoff team.
I can't do that. I can't.
They beat the Bills.
I don't care.
They beat the Bills.
I can't do it.
So they do just have a pretty soft schedule is why this actually makes sense of why this could be a thing. That they're 3-2 right now. Their next game is the Saints, then the Titans. So they're 5-2 at that point, right? Then they play the Browns 6-2. We'll even say a loss at the Falcons, or we'll say, 6-3. You're 6-4 because you lose at the Bucks. You beat the Jets 7-4. You beat the Bengals 8-4. You beat the Giants 9-4. You lose the Ravens 9-5. You beat the Jets 10-5. You beat the Dolphins 11-5. Their schedule is lined up that with that win over the Bills, you're like, all right, they could be an 11-6 team pretty easily. And if they just win the games they want to win. Now, that being said, they did drop a game to the Raiders already and drop a game to the Steelers.
The schedule's there. I just don't believe in them.
I don't either. There's also Drake May MVP talk after that game. There is a lot of love for Drake May, not from North Carolina. North Carolina has no comment about Drake May, but for everybody else, they are saying that Drake May is playing really well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Shout out Clayton. I have not made my pick for OU, Clayton. I have not made my pick yet. I'm waiting to see the injury reports. I'm waiting to see some other pieces, but it's the Red River Shootout, man. Anything can happen.
What day do we make our picks again?
We're going to make our picks on Thursday because on Friday there will be a round table where Matt can make his official pick, I believe, on Friday. But we'll be making picks for our week, at least, on Thursday.
Okay. On Tuesday, I'm leaning Oklahoma. I'll put it that way. But I'm far from making a final decision.
Yeah, I'm really curious about a running back health.
Yeah.
That one is really, really, and I get we haven't been able to run, but if you're telling me that Trey and CJ Baxter are both out for that game, I'm a lot more nervous about it because I think, even again, you have to try and run the football. I know it didn't work at all last week. You have to find a way to try and use your running backs and try and do that. So if you don't have your top guys, it makes it even harder to do that. So that's what I'll say about that. All right, next one. The Eagles will collapse this season. Matt, after a loss, the Eagles get their loss. They have not played good football, but we're 4-0. Then they lose this week, a game that everybody assumed that they were going to be able to win. They do play the Giants next week on Thursday Night Football, but we know Thursday Night Football, anything can happen. But yeah, they lose to the Broncos this week. Now, we had the Broncos winning. We did. But that was a 4-0 team playing a 2-2 team. You're supposed to be able to win those. This Eagles team doesn't feel good. But so is this an Eagles team that rebounds and then plays like they did last season? Or is this like 2 years ago when everything fell apart? A.J. Brown requested trade here in the next couple of weeks and everybody's all pissed off.
I mean, I don't think that they necessarily have the schedule that I can argue that they won't have a collapse. Because I get the Giants twice in 3 weeks, but you also get the Vikings, who have been playing really well. Their defense is one of the best in the NFL. You're at the Packers, you get the Lions, at the Cowboys, at the Chargers, you play the Commanders twice still, and the Bills. Like I could see a collapse. I'm not calling for it because I still think the Eagles are the best run team in the NFL, but I can see it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's viable. It's a viable reaction that this team will not be able to get it done. All right. How about our last one here? The first NFL coach will be fired after this weekend. We have not had anybody fired yet, but after this weekend, one of your top guys to on the poll, whether it is Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins, whether it is Brian Daboll in the Giants, whether it's an oddball one, Zach Taylor, or an oddball one over there in Arizona and Gannon, that they feel he's like, whether it could be an oddball one or it could be a main one, this is when we'll see our first head coach get fired.
I think it's a possibility for sure. I think if the Chargers come out and dominate the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel could be on the chopping block. I think that if I don't think that the Ravens are going to fire Harbaugh, even if they go 1-16. So I'm not going to put that one out there. If the Steelers come out and beat the crap out of the Browns, I think Stefanski could be on the chopping block.
Yeah,
they just traded their starting quarterback. Well, kind of. Yeah. I guess they started Dylan Gabriel knowing they were going to trade Flacco.
No, I mean they could already just bring in Deion Sanders and really go full circle.
Why would you put that into the universe? Oh.
And then Shador starts. They go undefeated, winning a Super Bowl, right?
No, Shador's going to start. If that happens, Shador starts. They go 3-14, and then Dion's like, "Oh, well, it's everybody's fault but Shador." And then we do this.
And then
for
they
2
put his
years
name.
until it's
He's the
fired.
only active player to ever go into a Ring of Honor.
Yeah. He's the only active player to ever get a statue outside of the stadium after going 3-14.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Hey, yeah, Joe, that would be funny if Texas tried to bring Mike McDaniel in. I don't know if he'd want to go college at all for any reason. I don't think Mike McDaniel's a college guy.
Maybe it's like a one-stop,
He may, because normally it would have been he would have gone to Saban for a season, gone through the coaching car wash, and come out the other side with another job.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It would be interesting. I know Sark would gladly give him a call to be an analyst for Texas and bring him in and just go like, hey, come on down. Be in
Sark
Austin.
loves those guys. Like Gary Patterson, right now it's Neil Brown from West Virginia. Like, bring a guy in for a year, let him, and then, McDaniel can turn around and get an OC job with the Texans.
Yeah. And, we will say Sark and Mike McDaniel have had similar struggles in the past. So they may be able to talk about those and have some, I'm sure those two guys have talked enough that they have some sort of combination. And of course, so I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility. I don't think he has any desire to do anything with college football though. So that may be the other side. Now he may say, let me go be an analyst. And then when Arch comes out in 2 years, me and him can be like a package deal thing for a team. we'll do the Cliff Kingsbury, where that was supposed to be the deal with Caleb Williams.
That he does run an extremely similar offense to Steve Sarkisian. I will say that.
Yes. No, here's the dog. Yeah, Sark went through the coaching car wash of Nick Saban as well. It's like Sark's name was kind of dragged through the mud, then has a prolific offensive season with Alabama. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, let's hire. Yeah, Sark's definitely a head coach material. You turn that around real quick. But yeah, there's our overreactions for the week. Keep those coming in. If you guys have any, we'll try and answer them. We've got about 15 minutes left in the show, Matt. So it is time to get to the Jerry Jones hour, the only hour that is promised to be an hour, but is never an hour. That is Jerry Jones promised to you. So first off, we've seen that Jerry Jones has been fined for flipping off the fans in the Jet Stadium. He had said on the radio this morning that it was an unfortunate accident because apparently one hand was kind of flipping people off under there, and then the other hand was giving a thumbs up, and he put the wrong hand out. So it was a mistake, and he wasn't trying to flip anybody off. But I guess he's got old arthritic hands that are just molded into to flipping people off. And so he was fined $250,000 by the NFL. He has till Friday to choose to appeal the fine. And almost surely he will appeal it just to be in the news more.
Yeah. I don't know how you accidentally flip somebody off. To be fair, I think Jerry forgets where he is and what he's doing half of the time. So he probably had no idea what he was doing with his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's appealing it, I think.
Yes. Well, no, he has. I don't think he said he's appealing it yet. He has till Friday to decide to appeal it. So he has not. People believe he's going to, but he has not yet.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what he was thinking, but I don't know what Jerry's thinking 95% of the time anyway. So I don't know. It's very odd.
And then also reporting Jerry Jones basically alluding that most likely guys to get back from injury this week would be Tyler Guyton and Tyler Booker and maybe Kevontae Turpin are the three most likely names. That a ton of injuries across that line. We know Miles Sanders was out as well, so Jaden Blue got in. Didn't really do much in the game, but Jaden Blue was in. And then you're just still waiting for CeeDee Lamb because that is really the one to really make you feel pretty good about it, that you feel better about your team.
I'll tell you this. even if those guys don't come back, I would start every single Cowboy that you have in your fantasy football lineup that is realistic, like George Pickens, Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams, the tight end, all of them, because Carolina's defense is abhorrent. It is so bad.
I mean, they allowed 24 last week, right? They allowed 0 to the Falcons. That's them. They shut out the Falcons. They lost 20. They allowed 26 to the Jags and 27 to the Cardinals. So they haven't been the worst.
They're bad.
They haven't. Actually, no, they allowed 42 to the Patriots. Sorry, they allowed 42 to the Patriots. So that was really the bad one. But they're not good. They looked horrendous, like really, really, really bad during preseason. I think they're a little better than that, but they're still not any good. So yeah, you feel pretty good about starting your guys against the Panthers, starting some of your offensive players. I agree with you on that one. Elsewhere around the NFL, we did see Monday Night Football last night. Matt, did you get to watch any of the end of that game?
I did not. I was watching Ted Lasso last night.
It ends with the reverse Chiefs. And the question where Hair the Dog, I believe, asked earlier, is the Chiefs dynasty over? It felt a little weird last night, because what ended up happening at the end of that game felt like a Chiefs kind of thing, that the Chiefs have the ball, they go down and score, but they allow a little bit of time left on the clock, and there's like a minute something left, and then they're up 4 now. So you think, okay, all we got to do is we have to score a touchdown. We can't even kick a field goal. They sack Trevor Lawrence, get him behind the line. He gets a 3rd down, completes a crazy good pass to Brian Thomas, and gets him out while getting hit. They move right down the field after that. He completes a couple other passes. And then the game-winning play, he steps out, gets stepped on by his right guard, falls over, Trevor Lawrence does, gets up, falls over again, gets up, and then just tries to run out of the pocket to throw the ball away, because he's like, crap, play's done. We're red zone. We're inside the 10. Goes to throw it away, realizes he's all alone, and runs in for a touchdown and wins the game.
I actually did see that play.
That is bonkers, because that is a very Chiefs thing for Patrick Mahomes to just be like, oh, I fell over, and that was Andy Reid dropped this play where I fall over, and then I roll over 7 times, and then I get up and I throw the ball over my head, and Kelsey catches it for a touchdown. That's how the Chiefs were winning games. But they came back and won with, and then the Chiefs weren't able to get anything going to come down and kick that field goal. They have their mistakes before and can't, get a holding penalty and everything else, and have no real shot to go down and kick a field goal with the time left by the Jags. But it leaves the question. You're like, oh, that Chiefs magic, that was gone. The other team had the Chiefs magic.
I also saw Chris Jones was like walking on that play, which was very bizarre. Yeah, I mean, that sounds very Chiefs-like. I'm surprised there wasn't a roughing the passer call on the Chiefs late in that game either. That seems something that would also be very Chiefs, even if you lay a hand on Patrick Mahomes and you get caught, like the refs immediately in your face throwing a flag into your eyes. But yeah, I mean, I'm not mad about it. I'll put it that way, Patrick.
We did see the one where it got everybody mad about the refs too earlier in the game. They ran a screenplay at the 1-yard line to get Kelsey open. And it's a blatant screenplay. Like, he's not trying to hide it. But it's because they understand the rule is it's not a penalty within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage. So he just makes sure he's standing outside of the end zone. They're inside the 1 yard line. So they know it's within 1 yard. So you can't call that. And so the ref throws a flag. The entire Chiefs team runs over going, it's fine. It's not a penalty within 1 yard. And they have to pick up the flag because they're technically right. Now, what annoys Texans fans is they did the exact same thing the Texans did and got a penalty for it. And they tried to hide it at least. But this was literally, he just stopped and set a screen basically and gets Kelsey open. And you were like, okay, there's the Chiefs that we're used to, that know the rules and know how to get things done.
I have an overreaction for you, Patrick.
Yes.
Did Travis Kelce ruin the Chiefs dynasty by getting together with Taylor Swift?
No,
because it seems like ever since then, things have gone very downhill.
I think it might be because it's very hard to be a dynasty for that long and to continue, especially if you have an owner who doesn't necessarily want to pay the most amount of money for everybody. So I think constantly letting players go and just being like, oh, we just got to let another one go and let another one go and let another one go, I think is finally starting to catch up to them a little bit more. Now, when they get Rashee Rice back, they'll be better again because Rashee Rice is really good. So when he gets back from his suspension and they have Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelce and everybody's going, they're still going to be a good team. But it does feel like maybe a little bit of that magic's gone now.
It does. It does. I said that for the benefit of my sisters. They're both very big Swifties. And
yeah, well, now you're going to have the Swifties after us. We can't have that.
Hey, no. bring him into the stream. Bring him into the chat. Let's argue.
You say that. There's going to be a line. Flowers and lyrics from Taylor Swift. We don't need that in there. Don't put the Swifties after us. No, Joe, because Taylor Swift is not taking Travis Kelce to Cabo before a playoff game.
Yeah, oh my God.
All right, why don't we take our second break here, Matt? Come back, get to our meat out of the day, and wrap it up here on a Tuesday edition of Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Hi, I'm Hayden Covert. Welcome to Covert Buick GMC of Bee Cave, your home in the Hill Country for new and pre-owned Buick and GMC vehicles. With beautiful inventory arriving daily, including the GMC Yukon, Sierra 1500, and Buick Enclave, you'll be certain to find the perfect vehicle at an incredible deal. Our service department is also open for all your vehicle maintenance needs. Visit us today for a test drive. Covert, born and raised in Austin. We are professional grade.
Altstadt Beer, the best beer that you can find all throughout the great state of Texas. Y'all know I've been a fan of Altstadt for years now, and if you try it, I think you will be too. If you've already tried it, you know exactly what I am talking about. Altstadt is brewed locally in Fredericksburg, but available all over the state of Texas. So if you're tuned in Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, it does not matter. You can find Altstadt at a local grocery store or liquor store. They've got a bunch of different brews, something for every beer drinker out there. The lager, the Kolsch, those are their two flagship beers, both award winners. They are fantastic. The Altstadt Light sacrifices on calories but does not sacrifice on the taste. They've got great pills, tons of great seasonals as well. I'm telling you, one sip and you won't go back to the other beers you've been drinking in the past. It is the official beer of BK. It should be the official beer of you as well. It's Altstadt Beer. No impurities, no regrets.
Hey y'all, I'm Camille McKay.
And I'm Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations.
The old man and I are here to give you your summer weather forecast. It's hot.
That's right, kid.
Which means it's time for pool parties, grilling burgers, and taking a beach vacation, right?
Well, I don't know about a vacation, but Audiovisual brings more heat than any tropical destination.
It was worth a shot. I'll settle for some outdoor speakers.
You know, Audiovisual can do a lot more than that. We provide outdoor video screens, audio systems, landscape lighting, even solar shades for your patio to keep the Texas heat at bay.
Well, I'm sold. Let's wrap this up. I'm ready to lounge on a floaty and listen to some smooth jazz.
Well, that sounds wonderful, but some smooth reggae is the way to go this summer.
Good thing we can listen to both with the Sonos sound system. I call dibs on the floaty, though. Peace out.
Kid, wait a second. Give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit us at avconsultations.com. That's 512-255-8678.
Back here on Open Gym, here on Texas Sports Unfiltered, wrapping it up on a Tuesday afternoon. Let's get to a meathead here real quick, Matt. And we talked about the Cowboys and the Chiefs. Here is a guy who had an ill-advised tattoo, seemingly getting another ill-advised tattoo.
I say all cover-ups $160. You better bring me a project.
This is the cover-up for one. It's a huge tattoo.
It's okay. I have fun with this though.
I've been to a lot of tattoos in my life, and artists, and I know what tattoos are.
Did anybody else call you? Yeah, but if I charge you more than $160, it wouldn't go viral. Right?
No, I mean,
This is why I do what I do.
You're doing what you do is badass.
Yes, because I love to do it.
And I'm sure everybody else pays more than, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they show love sometimes.
Did you get a quote from somebody else?
I can't get anybody touches. I've even got buddies. I've got buddies
Yeah,
that are
put some
tattoo artists.
shaving cream
Oh
on
yeah,
there.
he did come in here and tell us that the other day.
Yeah, we'll fast forward
When I say all cover-ups, 160.
on that. Oh wait.
There is no way.
Between the new team and me and Riley tag teaming you at the same time, that's the only way we can get shit like this done. You see what I'm saying?
There you go. That Cowboys tattoo turns into a Chiefs tattoo.
And now now the team that you got covered up for is 2-4.
2-4.
And the dynasty's over.
The dynasty may be over. We're having that conversation. I'm like, I know what I saw earlier today, and it's great stuff that this guy is the jinx. If you were wondering, hey, Cowboys fans, the drought may be over, guys. Your jinx may have left the room.
I'll I think that you should have to have a mental health evaluation before you get a tattoo.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's some fun ones. That one that big, and like, there's nothing wrong with it. Go get that one. It's fine. It's just funny.
Let me rephrase that. Before you get a sports team tattooed on you, you should get a mental health evaluation.
You're not a tattoo guy, Matt?
Especially that side.
I figured you had like a full back piece and maybe a shoulder piece and the.
Oh yeah, I got the Ben Affleck on my back. No, I'm not against tattoos. If you want to get a tattoo, that's great. I think you got the right to do whatever you want. I don't care if you tattoo your face, but those kinds of situations, I am 1,000% against. That is awful.
Dude, that is just one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. Is a dude getting a Chiefs tattoo for a 2-4 Chiefs team. The Cowboys have been bad too long. I can't do it to myself anymore. I'm going to bandwagon onto another team that may be entering a long spell of it not working out for them. Let me and hair of the dog. That's true.
That's probably a fact.
That is true. You do need a mental evaluation to be a Cowboys fan as well, or at least to stay one year after year. You should have to go. You have to go get your wellness check in. I'll give you one more. This is Demario Davis being mic'd up talking about Cam Scatabo playing him in the game this week.
He felt like a bad little kid. He's just like a little bad kid. What do you think this is? Boy, it's a grown man game. You already let it go one time. That's 5 yards. Man, that's 1 yard, boy. You ever been at one of those little football camps and you picked up one of them bad kids like wrestling with them? That's what number 44 like. I can feel his little feet just back there going. It feel like a bad little kid. Like a little battery back there. Hey, I love the way you run. You got to. That's how you're supposed to play. Hey, I got much respect for you, dog. Keep hunting. Keep hunting, bro.
So there's Demario Davis talking about playing Cam Scatabo. Solid stuff there. I do love at the end. He comes over and gives him some love, and he's like, "Yeah, keep doing what you're doing." But yeah, there's like he's just like a bad kid. He's just like a bad kid out there.
Cam Scatabo is like the Energizer Bunny on steroids and on crack at the same time. I don't know. Like he just like he's like that. Have you? I doubt you've seen Lord of the Rings, Patrick. Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
No, I know the general beats of it, but no, I've not watched it.
So there's this monster in Lord of the Rings that is a giant troll, and literally his only job is he has a battering ram on his head, and he runs into walls to break them down. That's what Cam Scatabo is. He's just a battering ram with no.
I love it. I love it. That does feel like a proper. That does feel proper about what he actually is. Shout out here the dog, Joe K. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us as well. We're going to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. We're off Friday because there will be a round table with Matt and a bunch of other people in Dallas. So make sure to find all the information about that on Texas Sports Unfiltered social medias. So we'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday shows. And Friday, I will be off. Matt will be there. I'll be doing the post game on Saturday, though. So I'll still be around enough, and we'll still be around. But we got a lot to shove in to talk Oklahoma here the next couple of days. And a lot of Oklahoma talk coming up, so hang out for that. But until then, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean, and we will see you back here tomorrow for more from Open Gym.